Oh, is it?
Yeah, he's like, I like both types of music, country and western.
Oh my gosh.
So those are the only two types, apparently. Nothing else counts.
Nothing else exists.
Yeah.
If you're Macri. Macri! Why did they change everything? Okay.
What's your go-to breakfast?
I guess that means if he was an ice cream, he'd be a Macri Daiquiri.
He.
Because I just want to let you know your laptop's pointed right at your groin.
Wow.
What a view!
I mean, I'm not
Actually,
complaining. I just
I
want
mean-
you to know.
I was trying to do like the some good news type of thing where I stand up and you see nothing but the bottom instead. I'm like, oh, that's what. But really, I'm just.
You're like Rachel and just change pants in the background.
You see, this is why we always devolve into butt stuff.
Oh, he gave us the 360.
He did. He spun around.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried.
Oh god. I'm gonna get so banned.
He's wearing fully clothes.
Yeah, but he's bent over in the camera. Come on, that's not.
Don't worry, I'm wearing.
I'm kidding.
If I was doing this for subscribers, please, then I can do it.
Yeah. I do need help.
It's not like he's Donald Ducking it over there.
He's got pants on. Donald Duck, all shirt, no pants.
Oh, God, man.
Guys, that's what I'm doing right now. Does that give me more people?
I want to beat myself.
I thought that Winnie the Poohing. I didn't know that that was Donald Ducking. I'm learning
I've
so
always
much.
heard Donald Duck. I mean, same
Both.
difference.
Same-
Both do that thing, yeah.
It's all cartoon characters. None of them wear pants. Shirts, but no pants.
It's just like
And
me.
then Daffy Duck doesn't wear anything. So.
Lola Bunny only wears a bow.
Oh shit. She does.
Same with Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny's complete freeballing it.
Whoa!
Bugs Bunny, he cross
It's like he's.
dresses too.
That's true. He does cross dress.
What's the name of the captain from
Allegedly.
Mulan? Hang on.
I don't remember.
What is it?
Dang, that was
Chang?
Shane?
Chang.
Li Shay, yeah. He's not in the live adaptation. What?
What?
Get the fuck out of here.
There's no Mulan and him romance.
Yeah, they cut it.
What?
They changed a bunch of stuff for the live action.
I mean,
I can't.
but my favorite part of that movie is that dude thinking he's gay for an hour and a half.
I think also Mushu wasn't in it.
What?
No, Mushu's great. Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
Cow.
Who's her?
He's my favorite. The dishonor on your cow is my favorite line.
It's everybody's favorite line.
It's true.
It's like the most. Eddie Murphy is like the most memorable part of that movie.
That's true.
All right, are we all set now?
Everybody good? Ready?
Yeah, good as
Ready
that.
to Dungeons and Dragons. So you guys have begun traveling upriver, passing through the kingdom. Well, I'm on a different map than you guys, and I need names of places. So you've left Baldur's Gate. You were traveling up the Shantar River toward the kingdom of Elturul to go past that up toward Darkhold in order to make your way north into the Anarok Desert to explore ruins of a giant city. There's like a big metal tower out there that's supposed to be the lair. I keep reading the word lair. It's supposed to be the lair of the dragon who seems to have the dragon staff of Waterdeep, which you guys have decided to retrieve in order to protect Waterdeep from an invasion of angry dragons because they're all being driven insane. Uh, while traveling up the river, you found passage with the May family, a group of sort of like river gypsies. And oh, by the way, I practiced that accent a little bit, and I actually got better at it. But the better I get at it, the less you can understand what I'm saying. So I think I'm gonna dial it down and just keep doing it poorly.
I need
Because
subtitles.
It's completely incomprehensible.
I'm pretty good at understanding
want
people.
though.
We want it.
That is a complete fabrication on your part. You are terrible at understanding anybody who has an accent.
I am. I've worked really hard for the few accents I can't understand.
But anyway, while traveling up the river, the boat was sort of attacked. There was a planned attack where a group of about 20 goblins, and most of a tribe, being commanded by someone unseen, attempted to attack the boat. You guys killed about 15 of them, and the rest of them ran away. Kelric summoned up a giant wall of long thorns and brambles. They tried to go around them and swim into the ship. Several of them were shot to death by Chris and a crossbow. A few of them were blasted apart by Buster. A few of them were frozen to death by Joyden and her bow that shoots icicles. Some of them were eaten by Kelric while he was a shark, and some of them had whispered words from Curtis and just went insane. Um, upon seeing
Fuming
this,
and then outright murdering them.
upon
I do
seeing
space
this,
on myself.
That was
Papa
great.
May, who seemed a bit confused by the whole thing, seems to be trying to convert to whatever god Layla worships in order to gain power, but doesn't really seem to understand that Soon is a god, and that he thinks he's supposed to be praying to a god of fire, and that way he can get a giant lipstick that he can summon. Um, he seems confused. He may just end up buying a crossbow. Um, but you guys, after that, began continuing down the river. We ended the game on two things. One was that um, Papa May, the patriarch seemingly of the family, um, uh, said that you know now that you're getting out of the influence of Baldur's Gate and have yet to come into the influence of the city of Elturel, you're in an area where there are river bandits that try to interrupt the trade that goes on here, and there is a good bit of trade. There's a lot of ships moving up and down this river. A few of them have passed you going the other way, mostly carrying big, heavy slabs of black stone, like plates of stone that are used as building materials. Some of them carrying barges of wood. The boat that you are on, the Billy May, is carrying textiles, so fabrics, all covered with heavy tarps. Um, and I believe we left off with Buster fishing, and you
Oh
rolled
yeah, you
very
caught
well
that big
on
fish.
your yeah, rolled very well on your survival check. So we'll pick up there. So Buster has his bait and tackle out that he bought for the ocean. But the ship was a little big and awkward for fishing, so the last through 2 or 3 days that you guys have been traveling upriver, he's been enjoying some time just fishing off the back. He's caught a few fish, sometimes unlucky, sometimes a little better. Buster, while you're sitting there with your line out in the water, it's warm here, even though it's coming on toward fall at this point. It's the end of the summer. It's starting to cool off, but you're far enough south that the temperature is still warm. The leaves haven't started to change yet. So you're sat out in the sun on the edge of this big flat ship. Um, Drift and refuse floating down the river just um, floats them and jets them. Big bundles of weeds and logs and sort of birds tweeting in the air at a pleasant, warm, late summer day. Uh, Not a cloud in the sky, but the river itself is open to fields on either side, so it's mostly flatlands. So there's not a lot of shade. You're sort of in a lizardy way sunbathing. And while you're fishing, the oldest boy, they have three little kids, like two little boys and a little girl that are range from about 4 to 8, and then one older boy that looks like he's maybe like 15. It's hard to tell because his skin is a little worn from the sun. They're all very tan. Um, and he resembles his father with the olive colored skin, the dark colored hair. He sort of wanders over and is like just stands near you and is just sort of watching you fish.
He just kind of, hey,
And
do you like fish?
he nods and he sort of looks back to see what his dad is doing to make sure he's not watching. His dad has climbed up one of the masts and is distracted doing something with the rigging. And he looks back down at you and he says, what you doing with the bait there? What you got on the end of the hook?
I've been trying different things. And I tried some of the eggs that my that Globby is laying for me. And that didn't seem to work as well. It seemed to scare him off. So then I started snagging some crawfish, and I've been using those instead.
He like nods and he's like, the crawfish are good. The big fish in the river like things that stink, you know, like something that it carries the smell downstream. They swim upstream to get it.
Really? Oh, well, maybe. No, I'm still glad I took a bath.
And he sort of laughs and he kind of looks around again, trying to make sure he doesn't get caught by his dad. And he's like, so yeah, where are you going to then?
Going to a desert.
He cocks his head to the side and he's like, I was in the desert.
It's very hot, I've heard.
He nods, and he's like, that's what they say, but we've never been that far out to the east.
It'll be my first time, too. I think.
He nods and he's like, sort of awkward, and he goes, what's you doing in the desert then?
Well, we're going to be trying to find a staff that's supposed to calm down these dragons that might destroy our city.
And he like nods, and his eyes get big, and he's like, you're gonna go fight dragons then?
Hopefully not. Hopefully the dragons won't try to eat us.
Says, you fought dragons before.
I don't know if fight's the right word. Hey guys, did we ever fight dragons?
Not while I
Think
was
so.
around.
They've been pretty nice.
Generally, we've found the docile ones.
But you've met dragons, you talked to them.
Oh yeah.
Right, yeah, Chris knows.
Also, Chris like pushes her hair out of her face a little bit and like bumps out her chest.
Yeah, he doesn't understand. He's just sitting there staring at you.
She doesn't fault him for not realizing.
The greatness that stands before
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, and he's like, right then, we see you talk to dragons. I'd like to talk to a dragon. That sounds different, but Midah, he doesn't like it when we get off the boat anymore.
Anymore. What
nods.
happened before?
And he sort of like looks around a little sheepishly, and he's like, well, you see, Da, he used to own about 3-4 boats, a bunch of them, but and we lived in the city for a bit, but well, he sold them, and we moved back on the boat, and now he doesn't want to get off. He doesn't get off the boat anymore. He doesn't like it much when we do either.
Like, did something happen? To cause
Make a persuasion check.
Ah, yes, persuasion, my best thing that I do. So good.
You
He's
with
a
my
kid. He's
spell.
15. He he doesn't get to talk to people much. You don't have to roll super high. You're good. He goes, you see, I used to have an older sister, and my dad, he did real well trading, so he bought another boat, and he hired some people to use that boat, and then another boat, and for a while we lived in Baldur's Gate, and for about 3 years we went to school, and then well, that was before the wee ones were born, and one day some people they tried to rob my dad when he was with my sister, my older sister, and well, it didn't go well, and she's not on the boat. So after that, he decided it was safer and better for us to just live on the river again. It
Oh,
seems to be, just better.
I'm sorry.
Makes
Mhm.
sense.
He shrugs and he's like, "Well, I like the river. I like living on the boat. I miss school a bit, but yeah, it's like you said, it's safer. If at least on the river when the bandits show up or You know, the odd Baron Gazelle come attacking. We can sell away. You know, the body Meishi's fast.
Wait, what? What's the name of your ship?
The Billy May. Why?
Oh, okay. Did I know that before? That thing I
Yeah.
knew? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the name of the ship.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's the Billy Mays.
Thank you, Rachel.
And he's like, well, you know, and right about the time he like it starts to get awkward, he's starting to look embarrassed. Rachel's line pulls taut. And what initially you think you've gotten tangled up in something, Rachel, because you just see like a green mat, like it looks like some sort of like algae or something that's growing, that's broken loose off a rock and is drifting down the river. And you go to like snatch the line to try to clear it, and it tugs back, and then the mat, like the actual green thing, starts to shift and swim, and you can feel it fighting against the line. I am going to need you to make an athletics check.
Shoot! Oh!
Spicy.
Gotta,
The big
gotta-
one.
Do it with advantage, because I think the kid who's never told you his name like leaps in. He's like, "Oh, you got a big one then," and he tries to help.
Aw. Well, it's a good thing you
A
did.
16. Okay, let me roll for the thing.
Oh shit.
Oh my god, it's so exciting.
Not the thing.
Oh, it's actually pretty strong.
Oh.
I did not roll well.
Ugh.
So you begin really get in toward the ship, which, and the commotion draws the attention of the rest of the family, who begin crowding around as this. You see a wake coming off this thing. It's about 8 feet long, and about 3 feet wide. You've hooked into something large that just looked like algae floating down the river, but it has an intelligence to it. You can feel it swim away and then like get tired and come back. And there's like a 10-minute protracted, like, we've all seen fishing TV shows, right? Where they like deep sea fishing. There's this fight where where Buster has to let the line out, let it run, get tired, and then try to reel it in, and then it runs and he reels it in. And it goes back and forth like that for a while, until finally this thing comes up close enough to the side of the boat that you get a good look at it. It's about 10 feet long, and 2 or 3 feet wide, and it sort of looks like a big otter, like an otter, but huge, and it has a long like snout like a dog and sharp teeth. It's like if somebody crossed an otter with a shark. It's this big predatory looking thing, this otter, but instead of having scales or fur or scales, it has this like green fur growing all over it that looks just like algae as it's floating down the river. So as long as it's still, it's difficult to see. And this thing comes up next to the side of the boat. It's big enough that when it thrashes against the line, the boat rocks back and forth. And you start hearing the maze chatter in this like pigeon language they speak. There's a few words caught here and there, but they go into a panic as Buster is reeling this monster in. What do you guys want to do?
Can I take out my javelin and try to like harpoon it?
Sure, yeah. Make an attack roll.
I think I'm gonna pull out my sword, but like
23 will definitely hit.
Ooh.
For 6 points of damage. So the javelin. Do you want to like tie a rope to the javelin?
Yeah.
So like try to. Javelin doesn't like have a hook in it.
No,
But
it
sure,
doesn't.
whatever. Thud. This javelin pierces into it, and you know you can't reel it in very well, but you can pull the javelin back, like towards you, in an attempt to like roll the creature to give Buster a bit more strength as he's pulling it in. And it sort of bumps into the side of the ship now with like 3 people snatching on it, and it actually rolls kind of and begins snapping at the lines, like it's trying to bite the fishing lines, and it's just this big fucking thing. Its tail thrashing up out of the water. It has no hands, but it is biting away at the line, trying to pull the hook. You've hooked it like under the belly. Like the hook actually rose it up under it, so it didn't bite the line.
Wait, so is
Now it
it
has a
just a
javelin
hairy
sticking out of
fish?
its back. What is it?
It doesn't have any hands, so is it just
Oh.
like a hairy fish?
It looks more like a otter.
but it don't have hands.
No, it has no hands.
Is it just
So
a
it has like
tube?
beaver teeth.
It's
Wait,
like
It's
a
a dolphin?
It's like a big angry walrus. Yeah, yeah. No, it has like saber-toothed tiger teeth
Shit.
Identify
Oh,
as
and a
speaking?
long like swimming body.
oh, okay.
Hello. Hello.
I want to come over and shoot it with arrow.
Go for it.
Yeah. I want to identify.
25. Do I
Wow.
get sneak attack?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you because it's like bound. It's like restrained.
Awesome.
Um, 6.
Would it be
21.
nature to identify this thing?
Yeah, you do a nature check. 28. 29. Okay. So the icicle darts into it. Kelric, this is a bunyip. It is.
BUNYIP?
There.
Oh.
It's a semi like reclusive aquatic animal. They tend to live in like lakes and big open bodies of water, but this river is pretty large. They are predatory and kind of aggressive. The like sort of like an alligator. They hunt by slowly drifting and blending in, and then when something gets close to them, they just snatch it in the water and drown it.
It looks like a manatee with teeth.
Kind of like a manatee with teeth. Yeah, but they have like a long sort of dog-like snout. They're big, wicked, nasty things. Does anybody else want to do anything while this thing's rolling around before I try to make like an escape check for it?
Do we?
That's what I.
I got a spell I can use.
Sure.
Oh,
You could probably sell.
No, I don't have hold monster yet. I don't think. I can just hit it with the
Command it.
guiding bolt.
Command it.
Okay,
Yeah.
command it.
Does command work on? Is it working? Is it just creature?
Let me see.
Or do you can?
Yeah, you speak a one-word command to a creature you can see within
Yeah.
range.
Okay. Yeah, you can use command on it.
Okay. Submit to my dark power.
What's your spell save DC?
Let's see. Spell save DC is 11.
11. It's a wisdom or charisma save for command.
Wisdom.
Oh, that's the wrong button. It gets a +1. I got a 3. So what's the command you're giving it?
To
Submit.
submit.
Okay. So for a little bit anyway, it's just gonna go limp.
Yes.
So it just kind of relaxes for a second. Layla, do you want to do anything else?
As soon as it stops relaxing, I would like to sacred flame it.
Okay. Go ahead and
roast
sacred
it.
flame it.
Give her a roasty toasty.
So,
Dexterity
body.
save. I'm gonna say auto fail because of the command. Like it's not thrashing or moving.
Okay.
Just a blast of fire comes down on it while it's laying limp, and it just rolls belly up and begins floating there. Buster has captured a bunyip. It probably weighs probably like 300 pounds.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
Nice.
help Buster pull it up onto the boat.
Yeah. So you just haul this giant thing up into the boat, and it's like half the length of the fucking boat. It flops down the boat, tips, and Papa May comes over, and he's like just chattering away in excitement and confusion. But you see him just start pulling a knife out, and like he goes to start like butchering it. He starts cutting it up.
Help.
That's a
Kinda
I
mythical
don't think
creature.
this would
I
take
mean,
me.
alright.
It's
yeah,
spooky.
kinda. And he's like, well, you know what? I never seen anybody just kill one of these things outright like that. That was more impressive than the goblins.
He
Got
worked
no
on that
fish like
too.
this.
He nods and he's like, these things here, they're nasty, nasty. I've seen a sink ship, seen tip boats.
Class and cars.
He nods and he's like, there's a lot of meat here. We're gonna have to dry it. It's gonna be too much for us to eat. All this meat.
You're
We'll help you. We'll help you eat some of it.
Yeah, and he nods.
Um,
Oh, it's your catch. It's your catch. You keep it. You catch it. You keep it. That's the rules of the river.
I also have some salt if we want to, you know.
Jerky.
Nods and he's like, oh, don't worry, but I got fish racks. We'll hang it. We'll dry it.
This jerky.
Woohoo!
fish.
I go over to Buster and I give him a high five.
And it's got like a thick ass layer of blubber, of just like fat
Oh shit.
on
Oh,
it. So he's
this
like,
is excellent for making candles.
he nods. He's, oh, we can render the oil and use it to oil the lamps. This is good stuff. This is a good. And I need I did. You guys want a job? You want to just work on the boat with me then? Make a lot of money, to trading up and down the river. I know it don't look like much, but I'm not a poor man. I got a lot of money.
It's not an issue of the money. It's more of an issue of life and death for us. I think maybe a little bit.
We've
Yeah,
got
well-
kids
Everyone.
back home.
Oh
We've
yeah.
got
that too.
bigger
Oh
fish to
well,
fry.
if you got wheel ones, you want to be getting back to them then.
Yeah, we miss them.
We've got to keep our city from burning to the ground.
That all sounds very important. And then he's just like, and a big chunk of meat comes out of the thing. And he's like, Mama, get the stew pot out, man. We got a big old bunyip. We're gonna cook it. You can make that stew you make.
Ew.
He nods.
So
and he's
excited.
like, oh, we got some root vegetables, some parsnips, some potatoes. I think the accent's slowly killing Susie. Is it the word potatoes?
Aw.
It smells pretty funky, Jordan. It is like a pretty gamey, fishy smell.
Uh,
But
oh
they seem
no.
very excited.
Oh.
What
I
is
Yeah,
it?
I'll let
think
them
I'm
have
Not
gonna
if
first
it's
bite.
cooked. You don't usually get dysentery from cooked things. I'm out of water. It's a disappointment.
Layla did so
Did I?
half cooked at least.
Well, I don't know if soon actually burns, but something happened that, we saw the light. Yeah, maybe it's fire. I don't know. I never actually been
To a
hit
better
by a
place
sacred flame to know if it's fire or not.
I mean, your spells. It's radiant damage. It looks like fire, but it's like holy fire. It's fire from your god.
Oh,
it's-
so you
It was
blessed
like
our food.
be light.
Yes, it's kosher.
Oh wow, it's doing priestess blessed this food, so it's safe to eat.
Them ain't kosherized rules. So Chris
right.
and the maze go about butchering this thing to eat it. This like huge creature you've captured. What is everybody else doing?
I'm happy. I'm hopping in. I'm taking a bite.
Okay.
Of this.
Yeah,
Howard
sure.
gets on parsnips.
You're like parsnips? What? There's vegetables? Uh, yeah, they have like in the back of the ship they have like a dry storage area, where it's
I bust out
it's
some
not like a
spices.
hold, but it's like a narrow passage in the bottom of the ship, sort of, where they have the foodstuffs, vegetables and stuff stored.
I-
Um,
I
and they
brought
start
spices to donate.
Okay. So they start pulling stuff out to make this like stew. They start hanging chunks of meat on big ass racks. They're prepping it up. Um, so they're kind of going about their business. Joyden and Chris are helping along. I guess you were like, I have these seasonings. Uh, uh, the mother May, whose name you haven't gotten, who just like she doesn't like ask you what they are. She just starts like smelling them and like tasting them, and she just sort of takes to you seemingly at random bits and pieces of different seasonings and starts throwing them into a big ass pot they have over a brazier, and along with vegetables and like some weird looking leaves that are about palm sized, and chunks of this thing, and they're just making a giant stew.
That's probably the best thing. It'll last longer that way.
Yeah. So while that's happening, what do you guys want to do with the day as it idles on and you guys eat?
Tan the hide.
Try to carve a tooth.
It has like walrus tusks, like big ass teeth. So you could 100% take those and what's it
Can I
called?
take this?
Scrimshaw? You could start scrimshawing on it.
Grimshot.
Who's driving the boat? I guess?
I mean they make adjustments when it like there's a bend in the river or something, but for the most part it just sails down the river.
Oh, okay.
It goes its own way. Goes its own way.
You can go your own way.
Hee
Okay.
hee.
Oh, your own. How big is this river like lengthwise? It's not me.
Width?
Yeah.
It's about a
Like it's at the Mississippi size.
yeah,
Like,
it's like a quarter of a mile in width.
oh my gosh, that's a big river. Wait, quarter of a
Big
mile.
ass river, yeah.
I was thinking, like, but that's still pretty big. Yeah. Cool. I'm just going to watch like the sides. I guess. I think I will be able to watch
Sure.
both.
Yeah, make a perception check for me.
17. What do I see? Special eyes.
So the Mississippi at its widest point is apparently 11 miles,
Whew.
but it averages between 30 and 50 feet. So it's around that range. Keeping an eye out ahead of you, Jordan, and watching the banks of the river, you see a few boats that come down the river, other like trade ships and barges. Some of them bigger, some of them smaller. A lot of them seem to be populated by families, just like this one. So a lot of that same, probably like the same kind of culture of these like river gypsies seems to be a lot of it. But there are some bigger like industrial, um, like ships with crews, hired crews on them, going up and down the river. They're laden with various trade goods. You can see on the top a lot of, like I said, a lot of them are moving stone from up in the river to further south. Um, so big, giant ass slabs of black, like shiny ass stone. That probably weigh thousands of pounds. Some of them are moving wood. Some of them have stacks and stacks of jugs, like urns, on them. Um, so it doesn't seem unpopulated. It seems like there are people using this as a consistent trade route, um, to move things in bulk. But watching the banks and things like that, at least for the first few hours of the day, like early in the day like this, it doesn't seem like um, much is going on.
Yeah, it makes sense with all the traffic going through the water.
Yeah, like I would say
People are just trying to
like every 2 or 3 hours a ship goes by.
Seems fair. Seeing as it's nothing suspicious with any one ship.
No, yeah,
Just-
they all seem like other trade ships. Whenever another ship comes by, if it's one of the commercial ships, then they seem to ignore it. If it's one of what looks like the family-owned barges, though, they make a point of like waving. Sometimes they shout back and forth and like pigeon language that nobody understands. Um, that's a little more exciting, but they don't seem to they don't seem threatened or worried about anything.
I need to figure out what bait I was using.
Yeah, and the older boy is like nodding at you, like, oh yeah, yeah, no, whatever that was, do that again.
Yeah.
He's like, there's enough meat on that to feed us for a month. It's we won't have to buy supplies next time we stop in town. You may have just saved the family here quite a bit.
Aw.
Ooh, yeah. I like that.
I heard my dad offer you like a job, you guys, but you gotta go fight dragons and stuff, right? You don't want to stay on the ship, do you?
I mean, it was nice of him, but we've got family back home.
He nods, and he's like, well, like us, if you buy a boat, then put your family on the boat.
Guys, we could have a boat family. Oh, and a salad
Right.
bar.
A traveling salad bar.
He looks confused. He doesn't understand that combination of words.
Imagine.
And then his dad yells at him. He shuffles off to go do something on the ship. So yeah, a few hours pass. It starts to get a little bit darker. It starts to get on toward evening, and Papa May comes over to the group of you and passes out bowls of like this thick ass fish stew. Like the base of it. Have you guys ever had bouillabaisse? Am I
Heard
the
of
only
it.
one here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
It's a French like fish stew, and like it's made with vegetable stock, fish, and like a fuck ton of butter, just like everything in France.
Alright,
Um,
yeah.
so it's like instead of being soupy and
Fucking love
liquidy,
butter.
instead of being soupy and
Mhm.
liquidy, it's thick, like it'll stick to the back of a spoon.
Wow.
It's like that. It's thick and almost like creamy. He
Alright.
passes out these bowls and he goes, "Oh, I will. We'll be stopping then when we get to the there's a camp up the way where the families all like to stop. Be about an hour. Um, it's safer there if we dock in a group like that. Avoid the bandits. He's
How many families are?
he shrugs and he says, oh, this time of year when it's real busy, they park in the weeds on the side of the river in small boats, and they come out and attack you. But they try to catch you when you're alone. So if we camp with other people, in the night, if we dock with the other ships, um, there's a place up there called and, like you can see him trying to like translate the word in his head. I think the closest common term would be like safe harbor. Um, but it's not really a harbor. It's like a swamp where you can pull the boats in. And people stop there, and so there'll be a bunch of ships there. We'll tie onto another ship, and the other travelers there. That way, if the bandits come there, we can defend each other.
Hmm.
A
Smart
nice
idea.
time.
I think Layla's like pulling out stuff out of the river and like sticks and stuff and sharpening them and preparing for the evening.
He kind of looks over and he's like, "Is that part of your god? Then do I need to be sharpening sticks to make sure I get a magic weapon that I can use to kill things?"
No, this part's not.
Right, and well, I'll try praying that again in the morning. I tried doing the prayers this morning to the fire god, but no, nothing happened. I don't got no magic powers yet. But I'll keep at it. You said it takes a long time, takes practice. So
Yeah, it does take practice.
he nods. He's like, all right then. Well, I gotta get back to seeing my ship. You folks enjoy that stew then. You earned it. Good hard working today with catching that there yip.
Thanks.
Right then.
Cool.
Yeah. It's like sort of like he doesn't know how to end the conversation, so he just sort of like
Oh.
turns to like go do something else. But you can tell he doesn't really have anything else to do. He's just like sort of slowly leaving. And it's funny because like he can only walk like 15 feet away from you. So he just like kind of walks to the other end of the ship where they have their little tent and starts
Aw.
eating with his family. The stew, the like fish stew is good actually. The whatever she threw in the pot with the hunks of the bunyip, it cuts the fishy smell or the taste at least. It doesn't have that overriding fish taste. It still tastes like fish, but not that like bottom of the river. What mud did I just dig up kind of taste? So it's good. It's heavy. It's thick. It's really filling. Um, and at the end of after eating it, you guys are all like, big bellies but satisfied. If you want to, yeah. So the sun sets and the boat keeps drifting upriver, and you can see in the distance, maybe a mile or so ahead of you, lights. It almost looks like a little city. You can see dozens of little lights sort of bobbing on the water, far enough away that you can't tell what they're attached to, but close enough that you're starting to see the lights ahead of you.
Awesome.
Alright.
It's like lights as in fire. It's like campfires.
Campfires, lanterns, candles. It's hard to tell from a distance. But yeah, fire of some kind.
Oh.
So
Just let the take us there.
okay, and like I said, it's dozens of them, and as you guys begin to drift closer, you see a pair of them, like a pair of lights, sort of blink on closer to you, like between you and the other group, and they begin coming down the river.
Oh shit. How fast is it coming towards us?
Pretty quick. They're moving with the current, so faster than you guys are going up.
Uh, okay, so they're approaching us really quickly.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
How far away are they?
It's hard to tell in the dark. Far enough away that you can't see the shape of what's moving towards you, but close enough where you can see the light sort of drifting down the river.
And we had a long
Okay.
rest since last battle, right?
Yeah.
Um.
I'm sure they're coming
Whenever-
to give us a lovely welcome.
Oh no, this is gonna be fun. Okay. So whenever they get about 100, I would like to save an action for whenever they're within 120 feet.
Sure. Does anybody else want to prep an action or anything? Yeah, Buster, at this point, they're just too far away.
Yeah, just like squinting.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I think
I'll prep us.
30 feet is my.
I'll do a guiding bolt for if they look like they're gonna attack us.
So when if somebody threatening gets within range of guiding bolt, you want to guiding bolt them.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm just gonna have Globby ready.
Okay. The hat comes off. There's the sound of claws on the ship. The hat goes back on. Okay. See, some of you guys are prepping up for battle. Papa May seems to notice it, and he goes, "Oh yeah, there shouldn't be people coming down here to see us. That's not right."
Oh boy.
Let me throw you guys on DOS map. As they get closer, eventually in the darkness, like the lights slowly grow bigger and bigger, and then you can see a pair of small like rowboats. They're being rowed by two men each, and then in the back of them is a third man. The third man on each of the ships is armed with a crossbow. There's a hook with a lantern hanging out on the front of it so that they can see, and they're rowing towards you guys quickly. Um, Kelrick, you said you were holding a thing for if they got within 120 feet.
Yep.
You are seeing rough-looking individuals who probably say "R."
Okay. I'm going to put a wall of thorns about 5 feet in front of their ship. Let's see how much fun they have slamming into it.
No problem. Hey,
You're
do
Goodness,
you
Kelrick.
guys know what a
Brilliant.
pirate? Do you guys know what a pirate's favorite letter is?
See.
S.
You
For
think it
B.
would be R, but it's the C.
Aw.
Wait, we're on a
Oh,
river
my
though.
joke.
The river
That
pirate.
doesn't matter. The
Should
joke
be
is
R.
funny.
Should be R.
It should be B for booty.
Booty.
What's the
Love
saving
it.
throw for your wall of thorns? And how many hit points does a boat have? Hang
My goodness.
on.
It's a dexterity saving throw.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. A rowboat. Tell me about rowboats. D&D.
As long as we're not slamming into these thorns too.
Well, you see, that's why I was asking, because they're going with the current, and so they're gonna have to row backwards. It'll be great.
They'll get a good exercise.
Okay, a rowboat. Okay, cool beans. So dexterity saving throw.
Yeah.
For the people rowing it. Let me grab this guy. I got a 17.
Spell save DC was 15.
15? Okay. So they managed to halt the boats, to row them back and turn them sideways. They don't, unfortunately, don't ram the boats into the wall of thorns, which is what we were all hoping for.
Aw.
You know what? There's 2 boats. I'm going to roll twice. Second one got a 13. So one of the boats manages to pull up. It manages to stop itself. The other one rams hard into the wall of thorns and begins to get tangled up. Go ahead and roll damage. Let's see if you punch a hole in this thing.
Wow.
Wait, I guess I should. Oh wait, I don't. Could you post the spell? Because I don't. It's on the staff, not the.
Yeah, hang on.
It's not one of mine.
Thanks. Now I have that song stuck in my head. It is 7d8 points of damage.
Okay.
Unless you want to cast it at a higher level.
No, but I don't think I can.
I don't think you have anything higher than 7th level, so.
That's crazy ass spell, dude.
It's my fault for
Ooh.
giving her a magic stick.
I got the magic stick.
And I'm gonna roll a saving throw
Hey.
to see if they tip the boat over. Your spell save DC is 15?
Mhm.
Okay. So the boat rams into it. It gets tangled up into the thorns. It sort of pushes slowly sideways by the current of the river. The maze freak the fuck out. And then it tips over onto its side. I think the people in it get dumped out, begin trying to swim away, but several of them get pushed back into the wall of thorns by the current. Let's make some athletics checks for these fools.
Can I just wave
Fail.
at them from on deck?
Fail.
Yay. With a little drink.
Mm-hmm.
The
Just
last
eating my
one.
stew.
And it's
Yeah.
23
Sipping through a
points of damage. Okay, 2 of them and a horrifying blender are pushed into the current by the river and just skewered into this wall of thorns
Oh.
that has grown its way across the river. So they're just pushed into the spikes and barbs and nettles, and you just see them go limp, and they're beginning to just hang there. Curtis is just like, you're like that meme of Kermit the Frog with like his cup of tea, where you're just like, that's none of my
Mhm.
business. One of them gets tangled up into the wall of thorns, but is still alive. But you just see blood coursing down the river as these guys are just like it's like if they've been thrown into a food processor. The other boat starts to turn around and try to go back upriver. They're like, maybe not. This is a bad idea. And they just leave this dude stuck in the thorns.
So Kelric will say, just keep going, and he'll drop it whenever they get close.
Yeah, you can see the maze are like, oh, okay, then yeah, we'll just sure. Did you when you get within range, do you want to sacred flame this dude who's stuck on the wall of thorns?
Yeah.
Okay, go
I'll
ahead.
probably. It's really just a mercy killing at this point.
I mean, something else in the water will grab him if we don't.
Oh no, I said that I was holding Guiding bolt.
Or sorry, guiding bolt, whatever spell.
Yeah. I mean, I could change it. Natural 20. Shit. Never
Okay,
mind.
that'll hit.
It's definitely mercy killing. Oh fuck. Goodbye.
It will hit.
Oh fuck,
Oh
you
fuck.
dead.
Oh my
28
God.
radiant
Oh
damage.
my god.
Dead. Okay.
Sorry.
As you guys grow up closer, Layla just points at him, and a bolt of a shaft of light comes down from the sky, slams into this dude, burns away a bunch of the brambles, but you see his like torched, stabbed upon corpse just start to float downstream. And Papa
Yeah.
Meg just comes over with like a
Kosherized.
long hook and grabs him and starts pulling him up to the side of the boat.
There ain't much left.
I was dead. No.
And he's like, "Oh, they steal stuff all the time. I'm gonna check his pockets."
Good idea. You want to grab the other two?
And yeah, so he pulls the dead bodies up on the boat, and you can see they like unless you guys want to stop them or you want to go through their pockets, they start just like taking anything that's useful. And you can see like the
Weapons?
kid, the 15-year-old kid, pulls the boots off of one of them and starts like holding them up to his foot to see if they'll fit. They seem
That's
very casual about
awesome.
this, shocked about the way you killed them, but not shocked about the deaths themselves.
Do they have any weapons on them?
There's two light crossbows, one hand crossbow, and they all have daggers and clubs. They do not have fishing gear, unfortunately.
I take one of the crossbows and I hand it to Papa May. And I'm like,
And he's
here.
like, "Oh, you probably just saved me like 10 gold there. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Faster than praying to
You know,
soup.
letting you people on my ship was probably the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Aw. Well, we're glad
Like,
to help.
bandits show up, you just murder them. Battleground Gazette come out of the freaking cornfields, you just murder them. You know, if you're any good at unloading stuff, like that's it. You're not leaving them and hold you captive."
Aw.
I don't
But a
think
whole
you
city
are.
might burn.
What was that, Chris?
A whole city might burn though. So
Oh, it was a joke. It was a joke. You know,
know.
I can't. I don't think I could literally hold you captive. You just murdered 3 people by like pointing at them and saying some words. I don't understand how that shit even works.
I don't either.
I'm gonna pray tomorrow though, so don't worry about it.
No.
You know, but what
You
about this one?
convert.
He points at Keldrick, and he's like, "You there for everybody? You don't do any praying, do you? You just wave your stick around. Where did I get one of them magic sticks like that? You should make that. Can you make me one?"
Dude, I cross.
Unfortunately, I can't make it. I get my stuff from the generosity of the earth.
Hey, you work for it too,
I don't know
Carter.
what that means. Like, you know how dirt works, so that you can like.
No, like
Do I need
like
to eat?
no,
Saying
no,
you need to
no.
plant something.
No, don't no.
Right.
The generous
It's like
bounty of the
worshiping a
earth.
god, but you use plants to do it.
No, I don't. I mean,
It's all very complicated.
I do worship Pan, but he's not where this comes from.
Wait, okay. Well, she had pamphlets. Do you have any pamphlets that I can look at? Material I can look over, you know. I can't read, but the boy, he knows how to read. He'll read it to me. It's fine.
Unfortunately, no. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, if you want to convert people to worship in the earth or whatever, you gotta have pamphlets. That's the way to do it. She's a smart one, that one.
It's not about conversion. It's about balance.
I don't understand religion at all. Okay.
Yeah, so don't worry about it. You're doing great.
I don't. He looks at Buster and he's like, "What about you? You got magic powers. How does your magic powers work? Do you have a god that you worship?
I guess
Do I
I
have to
used.
eat dirt?"
What? I don't know. Hey, Curtis, you know about this stuff.
He looks over at Curtis.
Powers of darkness beyond your comprehension. I don't know if you should be messing with this kind of thing.
You don't.
Right. All right then. What about your sexy friend there? What's her deal? She just stands here whenever a fight breaks out. And Ira just looks at him indignant and she's like, "Being sexy is what I bring to the group."
Full.
Is my
last night.
superpower.
Yeah.
And she handed me all when she reloaded my.
Yeah, I reload
Mm.
Chris's crossbows for her. I
Yeah.
might clean somebody's armor later. And if there's a noble
It's support.
we need information from, I might sex them to death. It's fine. And he's like, to death then. So you'd bone a person to death till they're dead. And she nods, and he's like,
She's got a lot of stamina.
all right then. Well, you keep that one away from me, boy. Then. And she sort of smiles, and she's like, oh, no worry, Papa May. He's a bit young, inexperienced. And she sort of slinks over toward him, and she's like, I prefer my men a bit, knowledgeable, and to have wives. And he's like, right, speaking of wives, I'm gonna go find mine then. Okay. And she's like on the other end of the boat. You can see her. So he just like walks over to his wife, like, fuck.
Oh,
Well, that went well.
Down, Ira, down.
I'm just playing. I'm not gonna break up somebody's marriage. I just wanted to make him uncomfortable.
Well, you did a right job.
Right? It's funny.
Never mind.
So, like, speaking of which, like, we're gonna land in a camp soon. He said.
Mhm.
Like, there'll be a lot of people there.
Are you hungry or something?
I'm a little bit hungry.
Oh
And I
God.
think the only people here who would survive my
Hmm.
feeding habits would probably be Buster or Kelric. And there's nothing wrong with either one of them, but I think it would have to be both of them, and I don't know how they feel about that. I don't know how Dragonborn worked.
But-
Cloaca? No
Can anyone,
cloaca? How does
can
it?
anyone
I
say
don't
crack
know.
berry?
Yeah, you guys can
Goodness.
hear this. You're like 6 feet away from them.
All right, guys, time to take one for the team.
Well, if it will help you, I guess. And he's like trying to take his pants off.
Please don't.
I'm good. No offense, Buster. You're wonderful. No.
Oh, right, okay.
Ira's just waiting. She's just like looking at Buster's crotch, like.
Trying to figure it out.
And like
maybe-
she's trying to pull
maybe
your
in a-
pants back up, and she's like, no. I'm curious.
Wait, maybe not in front of the family.
Oh, there's kids on this boat. Oh my god. Guys, I'm so sorry. There's kids on this boat. We can't do this here.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I was in hell for like 300 years. I forget. Like I'm not used to niceties.
Maybe when we make camp, you can find a solid patch of ground.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a boat full of men. Seamen. Ha. I mean, it's a river, but
How much time do we have until we join the rest of the boat enclave?
like maybe another like 20-30 minutes.
Can I do a thing too?
Do whatever you want, man. It's D&D.
I would like to sit down and do some ritualing. Can I do a ritual if I don't have the spell prepped, but do it as a ritual?
Sure.
Okay, it's divination.
Curtis, are you casting comprehend languages on yourself?
Can I just
You just
can I
want to
just like
eavesdrop on the maze?
no, I just want to tap Ira on the have this one on me because you might
Oh,
need
so
it.
she can understand what the fuck the pigeon language is saying, so
Yeah,
she can
so
get
she can
laid.
have fun
If you
off
can
the
have
boat.
inspiration, that's hilarious.
You know, this one's on me.
So you like pat her, and you're like, this one's on me, and she looks at you, and she's like, what did you just do?
Can she not hear the family talking?
They're speaking in low whispers, so.
Mm.
So she looks at Curtis and is like, what did you just do? What's on
No,
you?
I just
Are you coming on to me?
No,
I'm afraid you die.
I don't want to think about that.
Okay.
No,
What did you just do?
I gave you a thing so you could understand what the hell these lovely, nice people were saying when we make land.
And like her eyes get big and excited, and she's like, that's gonna make it so much easier.
I'm sure you'll find a lovely boat full of nude young people.
I hope so. That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm gonna do something nice for you. And she stops and thinks,
Oh.
and she's like, "Do you want to see my boobs?"
No.
And she's like, "I could be a man. You could see my dick."
If that's all you have to offer me, then I'll take a
I
rain
tell you
check.
what, if she like grabs Curtis, Curtis is much taller than her. She grabs Curtis by the shirt, pulls him down, kisses him on the forehead, and goes, "I'll figure something out."
Oh, all right. Thank
All right.
you.
And then she like runs over to the front of the ship, all excited.
I'm gonna die in the desert.
I mean, you say that, but you're either gonna die or I'm finally gonna get my D&D orgy.
Yay!
So
At
she
this
runs over to
point,
the
it's
ship
just a
like
matter
an
of time.
excited little kid. And then Layla, you want to cast divination?
I do.
Okay. So one, what are you trying to ask? And two, I want to know what Layla's divination ritual looks like.
I think it's like it looks a little peculiar. I'm sure she's got some candles out, some incense, and she's got a really nice thing of lipstick. That's gonna be her 25 gold piece sacrifice, and
I don't fix it or something.
yeah, and like a little bowl that you put it in.
That shit, Sephora? Come on.
Yes, thank you very
Big
much.
joke.
Very fancy lipstick, and it's like in a little like bowl surrounded by candles, and then it's gonna go poof and like disappear, kind of thing.
Okay, so Layla starts laying out like a ritual surface. She cleans a part of the deck of the ship. She puts out this big like earthenware bowl. She begins to burn these incense and candles. She fills the bowl, the bottom of the bowl, with some kind of powder. She's mumbling under her breath. She puts a tube of lipstick in it, touches one of the candles into the powder, and goes, and then inhales the smoke. What is your? You get to ask a question, right? That's how this works. Yeah, you ask a single question
Yeah.
concerning a specific goal, event, or activity that can occur within 7 days,
Mhm.
and then you get a response from your god or one of their servants.
Um, I would like to ask if we will find a really specific question. Um,
You can make it more vague. I'll work around it.
will we find the tower in the southern desert? I think.
Okay.
That's within 7 days, right?
It might be. You're not sure. That's okay.
Okay.
We're gonna make this cool regardless. So you inhale the smoke of your burnt lipsticks tube, the chemical smell of the lipstick, and the sulfury smell of the powder that you use to burn it, swarming into your mind. Your brain begins to swim. Are you knelt down or sitting or standing? Like, what's Layla's position?
I think she's sitting on the ground.
Are you sitting like cross-legged? Applesauce.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're sitting down cross-legged, leaned over this bowl. You close your eyes as the like acrid smell goes up your nose. Your head begins to swim. When you open up your eyes again, you're on like you're not on the boat. Around you, you see a salt flat. Just an infinite flat white plain. No mountains off in the distance, just horizon in every direction. And a clear blue sky above you. Um, Regardless of the seemingly harsh terrain, you feel warm and comfortable and safe in this place. It's a overwhelming sense of just calm here, and looking out into the horizon, sort of. I hate to use this term, but it's the most fitting term. Stripper walking towards you is a woman, fiery red hair, sort of flared back behind her in a wind that you don't feel blowing. Uh, Features that are almost so perfect that they're a little alien. Like like she's so pretty that it looks weird. Um, but it's impossible to put a fault to it.
Oh,
Babe.
and
But it's like Somebody needs to break her nose so that I can tell there's something going on there. But it's immaculate features. In a billowing. Wait for her to put her headphones back on. And a billowing, long, white, sort of clingy gown is the wrong word. It's like somebody's wrapped her in silk just enough to cover her naughty bits. And it flows back behind her, flapping in a wind that you don't feel blowing. She sort of walks up to you, sashaying her hips as she goes, looks down at you and smiles, and reaches out a hand, and she's like, "Layla, why are you sitting, dear?"
I'm on a boat. Better center of gravity on the ground.
She nods, and she's like, "Oh, I understand. Well, you don't want to get tipped off. Would you like to remain sitting then?" And I have to tell you, the thing you've done with your hair and your eyeshadow, it matches very well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're radiant as usual.
I do my best.
And she nods. Well, we don't have much time, as my powers to present myself are a bit limited. I understand you have a question about the desert.
Yes.
And she nods and she says, well, the tower that you see, I'm not allowed to give you direct answers. I was supposed to be cryptic and rhyme things, but that's always been difficult for me. I'm not much for reading, but unless it's an ingredients list on some lotion.
Oh.
And she goes, but joking aside, the tower you seek, there was a city in the sky and it fell. It's somewhere close to the center of the desert. There's a tribe there called the Alcazel. You need to find one and hire a guide.
Excellent. Thank you. You're beautiful and radiant as ever, and I cannot believe that I actually get to see you.
It's my pleasure, my dear. And I really that eyeshadow though, it's very good. And the thing you do with your eyelashes, I really appreciate that.
Thank
Well,
you.
anyway, niceties aside, I do have to return to being a goddess and all of that.
Okay.
People boning everywhere.
Yes, and
I have to be present.
I'm slipping a little on the boning part. I haven't, in a few days, and
She shrugs and she's like, "That's you still don't really get it, right? That's not beauty and love. It's not about physical expression all of the time." Didn't they talk to you about this in the temple?
I think I
And
think
you
it got
found
a little
beauty
muddle.
elsewhere?
Yeah. Yeah.
She nods and she's like, physical beauty is nice. It's fun. It's important. But it's not the only form of beauty.
Oh, you're so wise.
Yes, well, that's probably true. I appreciate the compliments. I do have to go.
Okay. How do I get a new follower of you to I'll ask next time.
And then, like, the vision's just gone. And you guys just see Layla lean over a bowl, sniff it. Her fucking pupils dilate for a minute. And she's just sort of sitting there, like, freaked out. And then she sort of shakes her head and comes to.
Hey, do you have any for me?
My pouch over there on the right hand side of my bag, there's a pipe. Not the same.
I'll go and grab the pipe. It's just like,
Yeah, that guy
So-
gave us weed that one time. I have it.
Yeah, so wait, you just get high, Jordan. It's just pot. Like, you don't see God. It's not that good,
it's like it's really just for my eyes. Just
I got glaucoma.
at night, I need to be able to see better. I can see blue.
Yeah, that's a pretty good depiction of a bunyip cat.
It's
Yeah.
a manatee with teeth.
Yeah, it's like a big angry walrus monster. So
Probably named Barbara.
Oh, yeah.
Big Bertha.
No, because Barbara, man.
Barbara got me. Okay. Anyway, um, you guys eventually draw closer to the fucking camp. Jesus. So as you guys draw closer, the Barbara Manatee thing really got me. As you guys draw closer, you can see it's rows and rows of similar ships, different sizes, but similar to the Billy May, tied together, and they've pulled off into this area where the river sort of cuts into a bank, and it forms like a big. The water's probably not very deep, so it's sort of like a swamp. There's big cypress trees growing, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to a lake party, but at least here at Lake of the Ozarks, they have these parties where hundreds of people show up and they tie their boats together and people just walk from boat to boat and they have these big crazy parties and everybody gets drunk. It's that, but it's a bunch of river gypsies and they've all tied all of these ships together, these different barges with trade goods, and they're all members of the what they call travelers or the family. And and um, and people are just walking from ship to ship. They're trading things. They're talking. They're having fun. They're drinking. There's dice games going on. It's like a little miniature city that is sort of sprung up in this little swamp off the side of the river here. And as the Billy May pulls in and gets sort of butts up next to the closest ship, ropes are tossed back and forth. It seems like both this ship and the family on the ship that they're next to are used to this practice, so they don't really question anything. They wave, they smile, they speak in a language that you guys don't understand, but Ira does. Yeah. They tie ropes across each other's ships so that they're bound together. The kids immediately dart off, like they just run off and go find other kids to play with. The older boy has like cleaned up. He's shaven his scraggly 15-year-old pubescent beard and cleaned up his hair and put on a nice pair of clothes and the boots he stole from that dead guy. Talks to his dad for a moment and then wanders off into the ship. And yeah, so the grandparents stay on the ship, but everybody else seems to like filter out into this big sort of party atmosphere. There's lanterns, paper lanterns, like colored ones, all over the place. So imagine, blue and red and green and yellow light sort of cast all over. A bunch of ships all tied together in a swamp. Bugs everywhere, but everyone seems happy and jovial and they're sort of walking around doing whatever. There seems to be no fear of theft. Like nobody's worried about their shit getting stolen off these boats. They're just sort of doing their thing and partying it up. What do you guys want to do? Joyden
like
and
a large.
Mila have both smoked a little bit, so they're a little high.
Yeah, and I was talking to Jordan, that lipstick, oh man, it's fucking Lady Firehair, she's so hot. I saw her. She told me, go to the center of the desert where that city fell out of the sky, and we need to hire this one something, air something, I don't know, guide. Gotta hire a guide, yeah.
Jordan's just high
Alcazar.
and just like,
If anybody wants to put it in their notes.
It's like Alakazam plus Gazelle.
like, with the C.
Alcazar.
Calric does something you guys haven't seen in a while. He turns into a man. A person. A non-Furbolg person.
Cool.
I can't
Are
help
you
but
gonna go out,
imagine.
Calric?
I can't help but imagine Kelric as a person looks like Shaggy from Scooby Doo.
I drew it at one point.
I think you may have sent it to me, but in my head, he's got a little goatee.
I mean, he does. He's just a redhead.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, no, he totally does.
Oh wait, can you move it down just a little?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there he is.
Cute.
Wow. Aww.
Yeah.
But
Got-
I imagine, like, Shaggy is very tall and he has that sort of stooped over posture and he puts his hands in his pockets a lot.
Yeah, that's accurate.
That's kind of how I imagine Kelric as a person. So, so Curtis is like, hey, if anybody wants to talk to these people, I can hook you up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jordan raises his hand. Yep, please.
Pick me!
All right, line up.
Hey, give you a high five. Yeah.
Boop.
Okay.
Have fun.
So Jordan, suddenly the odd tone and rhythm and mixed bag of words that you've been hearing that haven't made any sense to you, it like fades into slowly into an understanding, and it just sounds like common to you at this point. Have you guys ever seen the movie The 13th Warrior?
So
I highly suggest this movie if you have not seen it. The 13th Warrior. There's a scene in that movie. There's an Arabian dude who ends up with a bunch of Vikings, and there's a scene where he slowly learns their language, and they just frame it very well. Where like he's listening to he picks up contextual clues about like the words that they're using. Cool movie.
I think I remember that. I actually didn't know it was 13th Warrior.
Everybody
My
go
brother
watch it.
told me about
If not, then there's a book that it's based on called The Eaters of the Dead. Go read that book if you prefer books. Anyway, B movies aside, also Antonio Banderas is in it.
oh,
He plays the Arabian guy with a Spanish accent. Makes perfect sense. Anyway, yeah, so you can suddenly understand them. And then Buster also wants this spell
Whoa.
cast upon them.
yeah.
Yeah. Give
Buster
Buster
can now
like
understand
slap on the face.
Wait,
Pat. Buster, you can now understand their pigeon language, and you're gonna go hunting for fish stories. Okay. Anybody
No,
else?
how they do it.
There's one more left.
I guess. I don't know. Does anyone else want it more than me?
This is
I'm
gonna use it.
okay.
I'm gonna use it.
They seem to be able to speak common. They do have their own like tribal language that they speak, but they
Oh,
can't
okay.
speak common.
Well, I
It's
don't
just you wouldn't be
care
able to
then.
understand their weird, like if somebody's talking behind your back.
I'm just gonna go look for like food. I'm just gonna go pick at their buffets or
Sure,
whatever
yeah.
they got.
Yeah, some of the ships have set up like almost like restaurants where they have like literally buffets set out with like grilled fish, and some kind of weird ass. It's like a big rat that they catch on the sides of the river, apparently.
Nutria.
Yeah, like a nutria. Yeah, so there are people selling things, like food and drink. Like I said, there's dice games going on. So Chris wanders off into the strangeness of this new environment. There's an odd feeling of stepping onto one ship to the other, and they sort of bob underneath you. But there are people with grills set up, and they're selling, meat on a stick, and bowls of weird fish stews, and vegetables and things that they've bought. Yeah, there's 100% somebody selling like corn on a cob, like the God, what is it? The like Mexican carts that they use where they have the corn on the cob and they cover it in butter and they put that spice on it.
Elotes.
That, yes, there's 100% somebody selling the River Gypsy version of that.
Yes.
Maybe? How many people are in this area?
All spread out. There's probably about 30 ships.
I'm talking the crow.
To the Crow?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let me think. So there's probably about 30 ships, 10 to 15 people per ship. So we'll say probably like 200, 300 people ish.
Maybe you're so specific.
I mean, the Crow would know. I just don't fucking know.
I know, I'm just
I made it
trolling.
half an hour ago.
I'm just trolling.
Halfling is a language, yeah.
Did you want to get something to eat, Layla?
Are you?
When you said that, Ira's like, "Well, I'm gonna go find something to eat, if you'll excuse me." And she wanders off the
I'm
ship.
going way below decks, if you know what I'm saying.
I feel like I have to watch Ira. You wanna scuttle about behind her and make sure she doesn't.
It's like, I'll be back on the ship in the morning.
Uh-huh.
She shrugs. Like, what else would I do, Layla?
Okay.
Like, have I given
I'll-
you any reason to doubt me?
Fly. Like if she gets left behind, she can catch up.
She's like, I can't. Like, that's just true. I can't fly. But also, Layla, as long as we're on the same plane of existence, you can just like, you know, you mental link. We can just talk to each other. Where am I gonna go?
I guess that's true. I could talk to you.
Unless you want to come, get dinner with me. But I feel like you should go get dinner with Kelrick.
Wait, are you saying I should have sex with Kelrick? Kelrick!
All right, bye. And then she like leaves.
Oh, hey, he's actually got a normal face color now. You can see he's red from chin to forehead.
Okay, I can see I made you uncomfortable.
Sorry.
Yeah, maybe there's some food somewhere. We can look at it.
I did mean regular food.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. We can give that a shot.
He's gonna buy her dinner first.
Give that a shot.
That's how you do it.
Awkward.
Might get to first base tonight.
So Calric and Layla filter out. Buster, you're gonna go look for fishing stories.
I want to
He's
know.
gonna go fishing for stories.
Like what? Do you want to know what bait they use? Like, so you get a lot of stories that are probably very exaggerated. And at some
Yeah.
point, like you wander on a ship and there's two big burly shirtless dudes in a circle of people just beating the fuck out of each other.
Ooh.
Like they're just people are standing around watching and taking bets. There's just like a fist fight going on. But the hands are wrapped. It seems like it was a pre-planned thing. And so you see that you get the weird grilled meats and like the fish stories and people tell you, oh, this one time there's these worms that grow in the that you can dig out of the mud banks and they're like this big and you can catch. I once caught a catfish that was so big and a lot of stories about catfish, giant eels, and manta like giant rays, like huge ass rays. And there's one like withered looking old man who's like missing teeth and going bald and just like has clearly been on boats his entire life. Like the dude just looks like one big callus. Who tells you a story about this time he caught a giant ass ray and it had babies, and as he was pulling it up to the water, it like gave birth to, and he's like, I think it was trying to keep me from eating the babies, but I ate the babies.
God.
Yeah, because like it like gave birth to like a vacuum, like no, I'm getting captured. Be free, my children. And he's like, I caught them in a net too.
Oh my god.
So yeah, fish stories are like not a problem, but you do get a lot of advice about the kind of bait to use and the way they fish. A lot of them will troll nets behind the boat, and catch stuff. And there's a lot of stories of them catching magical things like mermaids in these nets and the conversations and craziness that's ensued with mermaids. And one of them like is completely convinced, or at least seems that way, that he's married to a mermaid. His wife is out there in the river somewhere because she disappeared into the water one day. So, and some of them, sometimes they find trinkets and stuff in their nets. But yeah, nets are a big way of fishing. As far as fish bait, they seem really into these worms that are in the banks and the mud. Big long worms. And make sure you use a big hook because the fish you're gonna catch, they're gonna be so big.
Oh.
Okay.
got
And
a
what is
big
Joyden
hook.
doing?
Jordan's just going to go to different campfires, see what other people are here, kind
Okay.
of watch. I
It's-
imagine I kept the peace pipe with, so
So you're just kind of hanging around. People
Yeah.
will just walk up to you and start talking to you. Like a lot of them are curious about you because you're a tiefling. They don't. It's one of those things like how do I explain this without it sounding terrible? You've been to Japan before. Yes. So people that aren't Japanese in Japan, it's like it's a thing. It's sort of like, it's a different culture, it's a different race, it's a different language. Like there's a separation there, and people are just kind of naturally curious about that. So people just talk to you, like they just walk up to you and start asking you stuff about typically in common, but they just ask you about being a tiefling and like how people treat you and what being a tiefling in a big city is like, and it's not in like a hurtful or hateful way, it's in a completely like naive kind of way where they like it's something they're completely unaware of. And the same thing will happen to like Buster and Curtis and like anybody who's not human. They're just like, this is something different, and that they just sort of probe. So you get a lot of that, and you also get like they offer you drinks. They want to know if you want to join their dice game. They offer you to sit by their braziers, by their fires. They try to feed you, get you drunk. It's a very friendly party atmosphere. Walking around not understanding or them not knowing that you understand them gives you a slight advantage where you pick up snippets of jokes and sort of jibing at each other and conversations that you wouldn't normally hear. They talk about how the trade is going and how bad the bandits have gotten, and they say Balrog Gazelle, which to your ears would just sound like goblin. So they talk about the goblins that are getting the goblins are getting worse and the bandits are getting worse and what they're going to do about it, and they're going to have to start arming their ships. You also pick up on like there's some folklore tales that are told around fires, sort of just for fun. Stories about mermaids and people who get teleported to the plane of water and meet magical beings and strange occurrences. There's a lot of talk about the weather and river conditions and what it's like further either direction they're going. So how are things going downstream? What's it like in Baldur's Gate these days? Is trade still good? What's it like upstream? How are things in the major cities? Is the stone trade still going well? Um, I can keep going, but yeah, you get a lot of that. It's a lot.
Yeah, but it's the news, like between
Yeah,
people, like individually, like
yeah,
down the river and everything that's going on.
yeah. Watch this eddy up the river. It's been pretty bad because we had a lot of rain here this year, or we got attacked by the bandits. Did you get attacked by the bandits? You know,
We murdered half of them. Or
we murdered a bunch of them. Yeah. But yeah, it's
they had
the
it covered.
news. It's people telling
Pretty sure
stories
they
for
did.
entertainment, and it's a lot of curiosity about you as a tiefling. Little kids run up to you and like marvel at you and ask about the color of your skin and how come you're purple.
I show them my horn piercing. Just
Yeah, Eglet at them, and and they have that weird child delight of something they've never seen before. Welcome back. Speaking of being back, Chris, what are you doing on these party boats? What you doing?
Hanging out. I guess I'm just like people watching and like food watching.
Okay. There's like I said, there's a pretty decent variety of food. A lot of grilled food because that seems easy to do over like a brazier with charcoal. So a lot of grilled fish, these weird rats, a few stews and things like that. There are people selling food, people just sort of sharing food. A lot of booze is passed around. Um, old men telling stories, that kind of thing.
Cool.
What about Curtis?
I want to flit over to where like the music is and join in.
Sure. Oh yeah, there's 100% like a group of somebody's busted out some bongos. And some dude has a guitar because anytime you go camping, there's a guy with a guitar.
There's one guy.
there's always that one guy, and all he knows how to play is Wonderwall.
Anyway, it's Wonderwall.
Yeah. But no, but there's definitely probably more than one group of people that have gotten together and started playing music. A lot of fiddles, a lot of pipes, banjos, like think like bluegrass music. That would be kind of the vibe. So if you walk over with an accordion, there's no problem, and you're
Oh
gonna
yeah, I'm feeling this folksy vibe.
yeah, and if you want to enthrall people with your performance,
Start a hootenanny.
Yeah, we're having a
Oh
shindig.
no.
I think you walk over and you pull out the. Are you playing the accordion or the harmonica? Did you play both?
Yeah. Whatever they need me to be.
Okay, so you walk over with like the accordion and you sort of hold it up, and like somebody with like who's playing like spoons or something, like keeping rhythm, like smiles and like motions you over. And you start playing the accordion. And after a few minutes of playing with them, they sort of let you take the lead. So you start sort of setting the pace, the like the rhythm and the tone of the song. And the rest of the band sort of follows in behind you. Like the rest of the people playing instruments sort of pick up where you're going. And it seems a very natural thing to them. Like this is probably the only way they know how to play music is just like in a group. And for fun like this, they probably like, jam sessions are all they know. They're a great jam band, but don't show them sheet music. They wouldn't understand that. And they sort of pick up and people sort of gather around. They seem to be enjoying it. There's a lot of like laughing and clapping, and couples start dancing. You are definitely drawing attention, and definitely people are charmed by it. They are enjoying it.
Yes, free drinks.
100%. There's gonna be free drinks.
Also, can I like ask around a bit about like where we're heading?
Sure. Yeah.
Forget its name. The one that starts with an A.
Starts with an E.
E.
El Terrell.
Can I ask? I just want to. I'm curious about like what the vibe is in
So
Eltrell.
El Terrell is like most of the kingdoms, if you will, in this part of the world is like a city state. So El Terrell itself is the capital, if you will, or it's the main place. The city is called El Terrell, and it sort of gives protection to the areas around it. So from Salbar down south toward Burdusk, and then from El Terrell itself all the way to Darkhold, the city of El Terrell sort of keeps the peace. They are it's like the water deep of the area. It's the major city state. Um, you find out a few weird things about it. There is a light, literally called the light, like El Terrell light, that hovers above the city that is always there. It's like a little mini sun. So the city is always lit. It is never dark. There's never a night because it has its own like little sun. And it because of this, it is very attractive to people who worship um, the sun or gods of light and things like that. So there's a very large population of Kelrics. Good lord. There's a very large population of clerics, but even more than the clerics, it's a very militaristic state. There's a lot of paladins, a lot.
Hmm.
The majority of their armed forces, once you get into their sort of sphere of influence, are paladins. Most of them are worship Tyr or the god of justice, or they worship I forget his name, the sun god, Torm. No, I forget his name, the god of the sun. I'll look it up.
No, no.
Pelor,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
A huge chunk of them worship Pelor. It is a religious state, and that the government itself is organized by this military. So their leader is a dwarven man who is either a paladin or a cleric. Nobody's really sure, but he's a very powerful very beloved by the god Tyr. But it is that sort of like it's a holy empire, basically, ruled over by people who worship goodly gods. Several hundred years ago, they can. How much would they know? Yeah, they can probably tell you the story. Several hundred years ago, there was an incursion. Literally, hell tried to attack the material plane. They opened up a gate, a bunch of demons poured out, a bunch of paladins showed up to fight them, and they sort of settled in Elturel, and that's been sort of its modus operandi ever since.
Hmm.
They actually at one point went through. A group of them went through, like the elite, basically went through the portal into the Nine Hells and attacked Hell itself. And that elite unit was called the Hell Riders. And that unit, though it's grown much since then, that unit of holy knights is still around. So the Hell Riders, these group of paladins who worship various goodly gods, are still around.
Still alive?
Yeah. No, like that was a couple
Interesting.
hundred years ago, but the order
They stayed
itself,
around.
it's like the Knights Templar, right? Like they've existed over a period of time. So it's different people, but like the order itself, the people who take the oath of the Hell Riders are still around. Yeah. So that is Elturel. That is the place you're heading.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, they don't know much about the desert itself, as they don't really travel that far. Darkhold is about as far north as, or the river up toward Darkhold is about as far north as they go.
How do you spell Elturel? Is it like
Elturel?
okay?
Yeah, so swap that A with an E and or a U, and you got it.
Oh,
Elturel, not Elturel. Cool. So that just leaves Layla and Kelric. What are you guys up to? Go get some grilled meats.
Dinner. I'll probably get some of that corn.
Get some dinner. Looking for I don't know, maybe do some perusing, some shopping.
I mean, we could figure out what.
There's a lot of native crafts. So
Seems
there's a
fun.
lot of
Okay.
there's a lot of like their style of clothing, which is mostly like, what are those pants called that end just below your knee?
High
Caprice?
waters?
Yeah, like high waters or capris, like pants that don't go all the way down. They don't seem to really make shoes. Very loose fitting, flowing clothing, things that are light and thin that seem to dry quickly. Nobody's wearing shoes. It seems like shoes. Like they're like, what the fuck? What do I wear shoes for? I live on a boat.
Chris fits right in.
Except for the kid who put on a pair of fancy boots to be like, look how fancy I am with my boots. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of jewelry that is made out of things that it seems like they trade for. So amber seems very popular. Amber jewelry, necklaces, rings, that kind of thing.
I think she wants to look for some sort of amber jewelry then.
Sure, yeah. What are you looking for?
I think she wants a necklace.
Sure, yeah. It's like, imagine like a pearl necklace, but instead of little pearls, it's little beads
Amber
of
beads.
rounded amber. Yeah.
Ooh. All right. I think she wants that one.
Is Kelric sort of following along with Layla while she's shopping?
Yeah, I think he'll like keep a half eye out for maybe if there's like a bead that's being sold.
That he likes.
Yeah. There's definitely somebody that has like you said a bead, right?
Mhm.
Like a singular bead. There's definitely somebody that has like one of those like tackle boxes of jewelry, like beads for making jewelry, that like just out. But it would be wooden, but they have this like this sectioned off thing. There's glass beads. There's a few pearls in it. There's some amber. Nothing like really precious. No like gemstones or anything like that. That doesn't seem to
I
really
want something that feels very swampish, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah, so there's definitely some kind of like smoky green like glass beads. They're super cheap. You can get like 8 of them for a copper or something.
yeah, sure. I'll take 8. I just really need one. I'm gonna add it to my necklace.
Okay, yeah, so you buy some beads, add it to the are you adding it to the noose that you wear?
No, I have a necklace independent of the noose that I wear.
Okay, we add it to the necklace around your neck. Layla buys a whole necklace, probably like 5 copper, Layla, a necklace of amber.
Okay. And I want to look for. Um. Yeah. No, I think that's probably what she's after.
You guys want to get some fish on a stick? Not fish sticks. Fish on a stick.
Fish on a stick.
8.
Want to learn their cuisine.
Silver 10. 1 silver's 10 copper.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I gotta go through and do a lot of math. And then 12 minus 5 is 7. Okay. Got it.
Cool. Yeah, and there's 100% like some like I said, some dudes in a circle beating the dog shit out of each other. And
That might be her next stop.
probably arm wrestling matches.
Hello.
And other like little competitions, like you know, people like there's probably some kind of like knot tying competition where there's like a row of pegs and they're trying to see how fast they can tie this knot across the row. So like little games like that. It's just people kind of cut. This seems to be their opportunity to get together and cut loose a little bit in a place that seems relatively safe.
I want to arm wrestle.
You want to arm wrestle somebody? Sure.
You said the magic word, Jace.
Yeah, 100%. So wandering around, sort of people watching, get a drink, maybe eating something. You stumble across there's like a table set up and a bunch of dudes cluttered around it. You have to kind of push your way through to see what's going on. And there's a couple of big ass burly looking dudes like heavily tattooed who have squared off against each other in an arm wrestling competition. One of them is like bald and missing his front tooth, and his nose is crooked. And his ears are all cauliflowered, but he's the guy that wins. The other guy is big but a little chunky, a little fat, like maybe he doesn't eat so well. But the big burly sort of hairy tattooed dude slams the other guy's fist down. The crowd cheers. The chunky dude sort of filters back into the crowd looking disappointed. You see money start to exchange hands on bets. The rest of you hear this crowd cheering and look over and you can see Chris making her way over to an arm wrestling table.
Got it back.
Calric, this might be a sight to see.
Do I hear
Did you want to
this
watch?
cheering?
I'm just gonna assume you all can
Yeah.
hear or see this. Yeah.
Okay, are the crowds heavy around this?
No, it's like 10 or 15 people.
Oh, okay, all right.
I yell out, I take 50 on the bigger one.
You're betting against Chris?
No, I'm pointing to Chris as in.
Oh, okay. They all look confused, and one of them's like, "Oh, yeah, she's the smaller one there, friend. She's not the bigger one at all. There's no way she's gonna win. Look how small she is. There's no way. There's no
Putting a
way."
platinum on her.
And like as the bets start to roll in on Chris, as she sort of sits down at the table, like as you guys start to bet on Chris, people start to look confused and excited, and you can see bets quickly going the other way, where they assume this huge dude is gonna win, and they're like, yeah, nobody beats old William. Nobody beats old William. He's gonna cry. It's a wee little lass. It's a girl. That's a tiny little woman, right? Look at her. There's no way she could beat him. This is ridiculous.
Layla puts her bet in. Chris is gonna win.
We'll just assume if you win, it doubles your money.
X gonna give it to you.
So Chris, you start to hear bets come in, and you square off against this big burly dude, and he cocks his head to the side at you, and his accent is so thick you can't understand what he's saying, but you can tell he's like just inquisical. Like he doesn't seem to understand what's about to happen.
What's
I'm up.
And they have like a purpose-built arm wrestling table with handles on either side.
Nice. I just kind of like crack my knuckles. in
Most of the people seem to be
anticipation.
betting in copper or silver, Layla. Although Buster was like, I put a platinum on them. Somebody's like, oh, yeah, I'll match that. I'll match that.
Oh, they do?
Oh,
I'm throwing in a platinum too. I think I have one left.
the pot raises.
Oh no. Watch me roll a nat one.
No, you can do it. No pressure.
But really, I bet a platinum, so don't fuck this up. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so you guys, I mean, you can bet less, Layla. So you guys, money quickly gets bet, and a guy goes around with a hat or something. Yeah, you can bet a gold piece. That seems to be like a high end bet for them. But the bets like immediately go up when you guys start betting more money on Chris. People are like, "This is ridiculous," and they start betting more money on old William there.
They have money. It's only 10 gold.
So Chris and William square off. They both grab handles. He sort of grabs your hand, Chris, but he doesn't seem to be taking you seriously. He's sort of like, yeah, okay, we're gonna arm wrestle, and he like grins at you, that front tooth missing. Go
Chris
ahead and
is
make an
used
athletics
to
check
this.
for me. Ooh, I rolled pretty well. Okay. And immediately, like, he doesn't hold back. He immediately just wrenches hard and begins pushing your hand down. And you're surprised, actually, at how strong he is. Years of moving heavy things on a ship seem to have done him well, as he begins pushing your hand to about the halfway point. Make another athletics check for me. I did not roll as well that time. Okay, so that initial shock of how strong he is sort of fades away. You guys can see a little smirk begin to form on Chris's face as she turns her hip, grips the handle, and pushes. And she shoves his hand back up into the center point, and then he just looks at you like completely fucking confused. And he's looking at this tiny woman and looking at his hand and looking at this tiny woman and looking at his hand and like just seems completely out of it. All right, make another athletics check. Okay, so Chris, with another quick snirk and a jerk of her arm, snatches the table. There's a rock of the table as it sort of sways to the side, and she slams this dude's hand down. Two things happen really quickly. Some people cheer, some people scream and curse, and then but there's like a moment of silence. Like everybody just goes quiet, and then the crowd like erupts in confusion. As Chris pins this giant dude's hand down. And you can hear the dude, like, he starts talking, and like, even those of you with comprehend languages can't understand what the fuck he's saying. Like, his accent's too thick. But based on his, like, posture and tone, it seems like he's making excuses. So, but Chris, you
On my
handily
shoulder,
defeat
and I'm
this
like,
fella.
"Oh, it's a good game, sir."
And he's looking at you, and then looking at his hand, and then looking at you, and looking at his hand, because he probably outweighs you by like 120 pounds, and like he can't put together how this is physically possible. Partially because Chris is real fucking strong, and partially because magic. But yeah, they pay you guys. They don't try to cheat you out of your money. You get paid. A bunch of people rush over to Chris and start like trying to buy you drinks and like pat you on the back. And one of them's like, nobody's ever beat old William there before. Nobody ever beats William. And then you come along, just a wee little lass. Look at you, just a spit of a lass, and you just slam his fucking hand down like it's nothing. Like it's nothing, I tell you.
I'm not that small, am I?
Yeah. Kick butt.
Do what?
Chris is like, I'm not that small, am I? And Korik walks up, just like towering, even though he's
Yeah,
not.
this dude is like
Rick.
well over 6 foot and probably 250 pounds. He's huge.
Good job, Scoob.
There's a
I don't
video out there.
It's reference.
I'll see if I can
If it's
find it
real?
of a woman who's a competitive arm wrestler, beating a giant ass bodybuilder at arm wrestling. It's really funny because she's not a big like bulky looking woman. She just knows how to arm wrestle better than he does.
So bodybuilding doesn't necessarily mean that you're like better at certain sports. You just you got the
No.
muscle mass for show, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you're still crazy strong. Like you can't lift heavy things and not get stronger. They just they wouldn't be as good at like powerlifting as a power lifter, somebody who trains specifically for like a particular sport. Yeah. And
Not-
she's just like way better at arm wrestling. Like she knows the technical part of it better than he does. And she just whoops him, and he's just like, I don't understand. But then there's a dude who's like a world champion arm wrestler who arm wrestles the same woman, and as soon as she like starts, he's like, oh whoa, she's so strong, holy shit, she's so strong, look at this, guys, and he starts like calling people over, and he's like, she's so fucking strong. And then like he beats her, but he's a professional arm wrestler, and then afterwards he's like, arm wrestler, it's crazy.
See, that's the right kind of reaction to have.
Yeah, no, he just gets so excited that she's so good at arm wrestling and so strong. And she's like fucking Susie's size.
I'm stronger than I look too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he gets so excited because she's good at it. But anyway, I digress. Enough about arm wrestling. Chris, you slam this dude's hand down. People get excited. They start trying to buy Chris drinks. They're confused and excited, and it big party atmosphere. Is there anything else you guys want to do this evening?
Do we get to do we witness which ship Ira goes into the bowels of?
She like disappears with like 3 chicks.
Mixing it up.
Boy.
Into one of the little tents on the back of one of the ships.
Does she look like a dude or a chick?
She looks like a chick.
Oh,
She
nice.
prefers being a chick.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hope they can handle her.
Something you guys would have learned about Ira by now is that her gender is fluid. She can change as she sees fit, but she prefers being a woman. So, she is female by choice. Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Everyone says we're like, whoa!
but anyway,
I think see if I could comprehend any more or speak about like dragons to see if like anybody else has noticed anything odd about dragons. I wasn't going to bring it up, but not to people. I just wanted to eavesdrop on that.
I mean, this far south, the only thing you pick up about dragons is they tell a few stories about like a great worm who drank a river. It like plopped itself down into a river when it was thirsty and just opened its mouth. But they don't seem to be talking about like dragon attacks or anything like that.
That's good. At least it's got
Do what?
time. As in,
I have yet to understand what you're saying.
I was just saying, as long as nobody else has seen these.
No, yeah, they haven't seen any flights of dragons, or there doesn't seem to be any talk about it, at least.
I actually don't know how common dragon.
Not super common. Like you guys have probably met more dragons than your average person.
More than likely.
Most people have met none, and you've met at least 2.
I mean, it's probably better that they're not so common. That would be terrifying.
A lot of them are not friendly. Cool. So the evening passes in revelry. Drinking and other things are had. Do Layla and Kelric ever go eat together?
I think it's more like street food kind of eating together. Not
So
like sit down.
You're sort of
restaurant.
just kind of walking around together and
shopping and
sipping.
talking and
Yeah.
imagine
Aw.
Calric is regaling me in tales of plants, and she's interested, but mostly for like their beauty properties or medical properties. healing
I mean,
plants.
Kelric wants to. He does talk about plants for a short while, but after the stars come out, he probably starts talking about stars.
Oh, okay. There you go. Geeking out. Oh, you want to know if we're holding hands or whatever? I don't know if we're holding hands yet. I don't know.
Holding on, locking arms.
Maybe in like a
It's-
friendly gesture. I don't know if it's like a sexy gesture. I don't know if she's all like
I feel like the closest
nuzzling in.
thing. I feel like the closest thing that they would get at this point would be if Layla saw something and she dragged Kelric behind her, and that would be about as far as it went.
That would,
Aw.
yeah, that sounds about right. There's like an arm or hand grabbing. She's like, I see amber beads. She pulls him in for shopping purposes. What do you think? Does it look good? You know?
That one has a bug in it.
Ew. Puts that one down. Susie, on the other hand, would be like, oh my god, that's so cool. But Layla is like, we'll just stick through these.
Chris might look through like some of the cool little knickknacks they have, and if I find a piece of amber with a bug in it, I think I'm gonna buy it.
Sure, you can find a piece of amber with a bug in it. Like what kind of bug you want to be in it?
Beetles are cool. I like beetles.
I was gonna say beetle.
Cool.
Sure, yeah, you can find like a piece of amber. It's not in a necklace or anything. It's by itself, but it's a piece of amber. Yeah, little stalls where you catch fish out of like a tank.
You have like a little paper thing.
Kiddie pool.
Yeah.
I mean, Buster might be able to find fish hooks or other fishing paraphernalia. in
they're
this.
totally trading. There's a lot. It's not just money that's exchanged. There's a lot of like barter that goes on. Like somebody's got chickens and they'll trade their eggs for for this, and then they trade that later. So there's a lot of that goes on as well.
Oh, they find any magic trinkets?
Magic? No, not so much.
No magic trinkets.
A lot of like what's the word I'm looking for? Like folk cures and folk magic, like good luck charms. With like feathers and like a little wicker thing tied together, dream catchers, that sort of thing, but not anything that's actually magical. Stuff to help get rid of warts.
Oh, I thought, since they use the nets to capture things out of the.
No, they tell a lot of stories about that kind of thing, but nobody seems to be selling or trading anything like that.
No one has like a fake like mermaid's tear or something.
No, yeah, because like they don't seem to be trying to, because it's within their own little unit, their own little tribe, so they don't seem to be trying to scam each other.
Oh yeah.
Like they seem to treat, like I said, it seems like nobody's afraid of theft. Like they seem to treat the people within their own little clique very like carefully. And because you're there with a group of them, you get treated the same way. Cool. So the evening passes, morning comes. Ira stumbles back onto the ship looking sweaty and happy. Everybody collects back together.
I wonder if Ira gets like the what's it? Whenever you're really full and you feel like your stomach distended.
Yeah, she gets like food baby.
Yeah, does she get a food baby after?
Here.
Not really.
Full of soul.
Doesn't seem to be.
Yum, yum.
So eventually, you guys stumble back to your own ship, find a place to sleep, and everyone sort of passes out on the decks of various ships. Some people pass out in strange places. Morning comes, and I think we should take like a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Bio break.
Bio break.
Ew.
Ready?
I feel like Kelric would want to see if kids wanted to play like light tag, so he cast like fairy fire on all the kids so they all glowed.
Oh,
that's so cute.
So,
Rumor.
Fun.
Nah, let's just keep talking about kayaking.
yaks. Going yakking. So the morning crests on the river. The Mays get up early and begin getting the ship ready for movement. And you guys are today. You will be heading into the area, the Kingdom of Elturel. You seem to have mostly passed through the Bandit area that day unscathed, luckily, except for the one little minor incursion where they quickly got murdered and ran away. And so as you guys move further upriver, another day winds past. Buster now armed with fishing advice. How do you guys want to spend your day on the boat?
Fish.
I think
You can make a check for me, Buster. Jordan?
Jordan's going to help one of the kids had like gotten some boots from one of the pirates. I'll
Yeah.
try to help like make sure that it's in good condition.
You
Just,
resole his shoes.
Yeah, like
Clean them up a bit.
like just see if I have any pat.
Sure.
Like
He's
if it
just
needs
like
pat.
God, how would like he's like he has a little bit more of a spring in his step today, and when you ask him about the boots, he like looks a little wide-eyed. He's like, "Oh, what are you gonna eat them for then?" You know, because well, just between me and you, the boots were like a good luck charm last night. Made me the hit among the. What do you need my boots for?
I just wanted to check them out. They're in good shape for use. Not for me.
See, you wanna work on my shoes that I stole from the dead guy that you people killed? Then you're gonna like clean my shoes.
Repair them if they need to be.
He shrugs and he's like, "No, I like you people, but you're a strange lot." And that's how this dude becomes an adventurer.
Oh yeah, magic the boots.
He nods and he's like, "Well, all right then. Well, that's very kind of you. I guess give me a moment. I'll run and get him. I gotta finish with these ropes here real quick."
Excellent. Just and while you have the time to think of it, just wish what kind of shoes you want. You want like strong shoes, or sturdy. You want more spring. What do you?
He kind of goes,
like.
Well, I mostly took the shoes because they made me stand out a bit. With
the ladies.
The gals.
Mostly took the shoes because most of the people we don't wear shoes, so it made it was quite fancy. So maybe if they could make me, a wee bit more attractive, then.
I'll see if I can make your shoes match what you're wearing, and I am if he has any.
He's wearing very simple clothing. He nods and he's like,
Yeah.
All right then, and he runs off to get them. And a few minutes later, it's just a pair of black boots. But a few minutes later, he comes back out of the tent and holds out the boots to you.
Awesome. I take.
And just looking at them, like they maybe are a little big for him. You might could trim them up a little bit so that they fit a little better. And if you want to just jack a bigger heel on them so he's taller. If you wanted to put some Jordan special, like something a little special in him over the next couple of days to make him like a little more, charming, you could do that too.
A hidden scent pouch.
Yeah.
You put like minor illusion on him to make him like in the wind.
Yeah.
Vampires. But
a little more shiny than natural,
Yeah, just like it can make it so like you can change his whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, if you wanna spend a couple of days enchanting this kid's boots, you can 100% do that.
You just put a weird one on them that like stops him from getting acne.
There we go.
Give him clear skin.
Stops him from getting acne.
Wow. That would be awesome.
I would kill
Dude,
for
I
shoes
would
like
like
that as
those.
a kid.
I'm 30 some odd fucking years old. I still get acne.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it.
some color changing shoes that it's like, well, it doesn't really do anything. No pimples today.
But you could make them so that he could like click his heels when they change colors.
Yeah,
Oh my
Cute.
god,
awesome.
he'd be so popular.
It would, yeah. That's a fairly simple enchantment, and that's something you could do over the course of a few days. Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to do over the next day or so?
I want to clean up this manatee skin. This
Can you like? I don't know. I know walrus hide was traded at one point, but like I don't know what the fuck it was used for.
Water
Keep
skins or
warm.
I'm
something.
pretty sure people did sea cows too.
Aside from the sparsely covered with fur, appears bald.
Have like a pelt.
There's a sack under its throat with acts as a flotation bubble.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Something
Weird.
something penis bone.
Uh-huh.
And you
Penis
have my
bone?
attention.
A penis has a bone in it? Ouch!
That's why it's a boner.
So, like, you really could snap your Jimmy.
Oh,
I'm sorry, that was a very raw image.
It's a thing that can happen to human people too.
You could break your dick.
Don't
Oh
break
yeah,
your
they were
dick.
used for all kinds of stuff. Okay, yeah, you could 100% tan a walrus skin and add it to your collection of strange tan skins, along with your strange crocodile hoodie.
Is Chris just gonna make strange animal hoodies throughout the adventure?
I
Like,
want a manatee hoodie.
It's the Chris Kigurumi suite.
Yeah, exactly. It's that one character in the anime whose outfit changes. You know, everybody else always wears the same shit. Their hair is always the same, but this character looks different enough from everybody else that we can change their outfit around.
Me.
It's like, it's the only character in their animation budget that they can spend time making new character models for every
Yeah,
week.
exactly. Because like
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys have ever watched
characters.
Fairy Tale, but in the TV or in the manga or the TV show Fairy Tale, all of the characters have the same outfits all of the time, except for Lucy, and she changes outfits. She has a different outfit like every 3 or 4 episodes.
And I
When they change
swear
outfits.
her boobs get bigger as the season goes
Every
on.
season, her boobs get a little bigger.
Oh, they tried to sneak it in there, eh?
I
Yeah,
think they tried to sneak it in.
Chick
you
road.
know we binge watch it, so I've seen it.
The boob
I've seen it.
physics are pretty good.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
But anyway, yeah.
That's
So
something that's always fascinated me with video games is the boob physics.
I
So
know, it's so weird.
It's like you spent a lot of money on
They
that.
code that in there
Jordan, what the fuck is happening?
for realism.
I'm messing around.
Oh, I thought somebody was trying to hit you with a broom. You're under attack.
Roll for initiative.
Yeah. So Chris, you can tan up this walrus hide. They probably have racks and things like that for that sort of thing on the ship because they're fairly self-reliant on the boat. So they have like a tanning rack that you can stretch your smelly ass bunyip hide across toward the back of the ship. They have giant strips of bunyip meat hanging on racks to dry out. So they are drying meat. Lots of thick, meaty fish stews to be had. Time over the next couple of days passes on the ship fairly peacefully. Ira seems to pass her time by just like napping a lot and hanging out in the crow's nest at the top of the ship and sort of just hanging out. My dog is sneezing and hanging out at the front of the ship. So she just sort of like idles around, takes some naps, works on her tan. Jordan and Chris have their little crafts to do. Buster's enjoying some fishing. With his improved bait, he doesn't catch any more bunyips, but he does seem to be better at catching actual fish. And time passes sort of peacefully. On the second day, as you guys are growing closer to the city of Elturel itself, there's a section where you pass the river sort of curves. It's actually right about here, right on. Where the river passes closer to the road, and you can see travelers going up and down the road, and coming from the city, so coming from the east going west at a pretty good clip, you can see a row of about 15 horses and 2 columns, and they all have heraldry. They all have great big flapping banners and shining, polished, gleaming in the sun armor. And you can see a group of heavily armed and heavily armored horses and barding knights who have the city of Elturel's banner flapping behind them, a sun on a tabard. And so you get glimpses of things like that on the road when the river pulls close enough to it. You get coming down the river itself, like patrol boats, like small boats with ballista, with like big ass crossbows on them, basically, with more lightly armored people, but still like clearly knights, people who are wearing tabards and flying flags, and you begin getting glimpses of that holy empire, that empire of paladins. It seems as these people are clearly that. They all have a mixed bag of holy symbols that they all proudly represent. So it seems like different gods, but they are all flying the same flag.
Sweet.
So since I noticed, can I notice if practicing forgery?
Yeah, I'm on the boat practicing some transcriptions.
I'll leave that up to Layla, if you can tell that's what she's doing. You know that's a thing that Layla does, so I'll leave it up to Layla if like it looks like you're just doing calligraphy, or if Jordan can tell you're.
I think Jordan probably has a keen eye for it, so I think he probably gets it. Nobody else. Well, our group might, but the rest of the people on the boat probably don't.
I mean,
Okay.
they don't even read.
Yeah, so they're probably just like, oh, she's writing some stuff.
The kid, the eldest boy, can read apparently,
Yeah.
but nobody else seems to be able to.
Yeah, he went to school for 3
Yeah, he went to school.
years.
That's right. So yeah, Jordan,
So I think
you probably know.
I'm just gonna be like, that's a good idea. Actually, I think when papers please, we should be able to show him something. And I put down a piece, and I want to do. With this illusionary script. It will last for a minute. It will last 10 days. It's whatever you want it to be. But it only lasts. I think people that hold the paper.
So basically, you're making like the Doctor Who thing where he flashes a blank piece of paper and the person sees whatever kind of identification they think they should be seeing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I don't think that's the actual
that's
use for
neat.
illusionary script, but I think it's fun.
I like that, Jordan.
So yeah,
That makes
done.
my job way
Yeah.
easier.
But my whenever I hold it up, it says certified.
Mm.
Yeah. So it
everyone
only
else
works for Jordan. Like he can't pass these things out. So if you
That's
wanted to
cool.
make some sort of identification or papers for the rest of the members of the group, then Layla would have to step in. But Jordan can be like illusionary script and then flash this like, I have this thing that says I'm a dignitary.
Keep that in mind. That's very
I
good,
actually
Jordan.
thought I could use it for everybody else. Like, as in
I
get handed to.
don't know how to look at the spell.
This that button.
Okay. You write on a parchment paper or some other suitable writing material that is imbued with a potent delusion that lasts for the duration. Takes a minute to cast, lasts for 10 days. To you and any creature you designate when you cast the spell, the writing appears normal. written in
Wow.
your hand and conveys whatever meaning you intend when you wrote the text. To all others, the writing appears as if it were written in an unknown magical language and is unintelligible. Alternatively, you can use the cast of writing appear to be an entirely different message, written in a different hand or language. It basically lets you make a magic code, is what the spell is actually for. So you can like write somebody a letter, and the letter to anybody who reads it would look like one thing, except for, like, let's say if you said, I only want Curtis to be able to read what this actually says, then to everybody else it would look like something completely mundane or gibberish, but Curtis would be able to get the code. He would be able to see what it is. So that's what it's actually supposed to do. But if you want to use it for a magical badge for just you, I'll let you do that because I think it's fun.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, like I thought that's what its original purpose was. I just
No. It's not its actual purpose, but I like the idea that you have like it. You have this like magic piece of paper that you can flip out and make it say whatever you want. You could manipulate the spell to work that way. We'll say.
Nice.
So,
write it in a
yeah.
different
So
pen.
Joyden sees you making just practicing calligraphy, making copies of other people's signatures and stuff. And just like, oh, that's a good idea, and sits down and spends a few minutes making themselves this magic piece of parchment. Yeah, so couple days pass. Like I said, there's a heavy military presence here. People sail by. The Mays seem less talkative. They don't wave or smile at the actual guards or anything, the actual army of Elturel. But they don't seem nervous. You can tell there's like a tension that's released on the boat once they get into this part of the water. So is there anything else you guys want to do on the boat before we arrive at the city itself?
What
Any shenanigans we want to get up to?
I'm gonna ask them like what their deal is, what these paladins are up to.
Who are you asking?
Like the Mace family.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
Yeah. Basically, they'll fill you in. It's the the actual military of Elturel. It's the way the city exerts its influence on other places. It's the way they collect taxes, but they also provide protection. So you don't have to worry about getting attacked. You don't have to worry about getting robbed. You don't have to worry about monsters like goblins and things showing up. It's like that worry of anything happening is gone, because if any evil were to show up in this part of the world, they would smite it.
uh,
I've never watched that show, Curtis. Like never,
Me
but
It's
I
like
know
that meme.
one scene from it where that dude is in like what? Yeah, I clicked. It's where his name's Ron Burgundy, right?
It's a
Right?
movie.
No, okay, I don't know. He's in like a God, like a place where you purchase wood.
Like Home Depot.
He's in like a Home Depot, and this guy, he's like looking at these sheets of wood, and this guy comes up and is like, "Hey, can I help you?" And he just turns around and looks at the dude and goes, "I know more than you."
I think his name is Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
Is that what it is, Ron Swanson? It's Ron something.
You had it halfway right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's halfway there. Whoa.
Living on a prayer.
Lizard on a
chair.
chair.
Lizard on a chair.
Cool. So but anyway, Buster, their job, they're like the guard. They're like the police. They're like the military. They're like they all take the oath to Elturel on top of whatever oath the whatever god they worship, and they come here to serve the Holy Order.
Okay.
And they don't seem to interfere with you guys at all. They're just like, it's patrols. It's like literally like, hey, don't fuck with us. So it's partially just a show of force to show that they can deploy these forces, and it's partially practical, where there are bandits and monsters and things in the world that need dealt with, and they go out and deal with them. So time passes on the ship, unless anybody else has something they want to do on the ship. Brief pause. No, okay. Eventually, you guys arrive at the first major stop on your river voyage here, and it is the city of Elturel. And we've all seen Lord of the Rings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all know about Gondor. It's a great white city carved into the side of a mountain, right? White marble city. And that is the way Elturel appears. It is this huge, massive city that's carved up to the side of a mountain, literally out of the rock. Huge white spires, dotting, like jetting up out of the city. Little wisps of smoke coming out of it. A huge ring wall around the outside with watchtowers. You can see horsemen coming and going. The river doesn't pull up directly to it, but it's within like a mile of it. So there's docks here for ships to stop along the trade route, close enough to the road that you can actually see the road that runs past the city. You can see traders, wagons going up and down the city, farms dotted around along the outside of it. And as you guys have been traveling up the river, as you get closer to the city, more and more farmland begins to appear. It's more and more cultivated. You begin to see more and more little signs of civilization, people dotted around, fishermen trolling the rivers. And the trade gets heavier. Ships are going back and forth more often. And then eventually you come upon this great white city that juts out of the side of this huge hillside. And it is massive. It is this great whopping city. And then above it, there is one great white tower at the peak of the city, at the top of it itself. One huge white tower. Crenellations on top of it that look like a crown, and set into that crown, almost like a great shining jewel, is a light, like a sun that burns in the sky, that casts a light across the city. And you guys come up to it toward evening. So it's getting later in the day, and there's a weird transition is where as the sun begins to set, it starts to get darker, and then as you get closer to the city, it's like watching another sun rise on the horizon. You get that picture of another light coming up as the sun sets behind you. A new sun appears in the east almost. There appears to be no night in Elturel, and as you come up to the city and dock, you can see. Yeah, yeah, it's you can see this like mini sun, this miniature sun glowing brightly, hovering by itself above the city, and which paints the city. There's almost no shadows. There's almost no darkness. It's this gleaming white, shining fucking thing plopped out in the middle of the side of this mountain, glowing out before you. Um, the Mays pull the ship in and begin to dock, and they go about doing their thing. And he looks over at you and says, "Papa May, the only one who really seems to really speak, says, we'll only be here for about a day or so. We'll need your help unloading the ship, like we agreed. And then once she's unloaded, we're gonna load up another load, and we're gonna head up to further north to Skanderborg, and then from there we'll head up to the dock near Darkhold, and that'll be where we drop you guys off. But we'll be here. I gotta talk to the dock master, and we'll be here about a day or so. So if you guys want to take some time off the ship, you're welcome to head off. We'll be unloading tomorrow."
Great.
And he nods, and then he turns and talks to his eldest son, and then the old grandpa man. But he doesn't get off the ship. They like go over to the front of the ship and like ring a bell, and then he sits down to wait. And eventually a dock master, a guy who's wearing it would be like ceremonial armor. Like he's wearing armor, but it's like a breastplate that's clearly not actually built for battle. It's just ornate. Comes over with a ledger and begins talking to him from the dock, but he still doesn't get off the ship. He doesn't get off the boat. And it's like 7:30 at night, and it should be getting dark this time of year, and there's just a fucking sun out hanging above the city.
Whew. How do people sleep here?
Curtains.
Curtains.
Oh,
Sunglasses.
Just lying in bed with sunglasses on.
Yeah.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
So I can,
Deep inside this infernal sun.
Aw. Layla needs a bath. She's been on a boat for a few days and she hasn't had like a proper bath.
Oh yeah. Don't want
Bathe
that river stink.
That sounds lovely.
I think the best thing to do is to stay the night and leave in the morning.
Yeah, we gotta
No
unload in
sense
the
of
morning.
travel. Yeah. Find a good place to stay. Can I ask the dock warden where like an inn would.
Sure, yeah. You come up, and when you speak to him, like first you're a tiefling, and that's a little odd, and then when you speak to him in common without the weird accent that the river people seem to have, he sort of shakes his head and he nods and he says, I'm sorry. Yes, there's many an inn and tavern in the city. Um, he like shrugs. I'm sorry. I mostly deal with the travelers here, and well, they don't like to get off their boats. I'm not sure. I think Raven Guard is a popular place. And then he shrugs. But if you go into the city just past the gate there, on the right hand side there'll be a herald, a man standing there, with a flag. If you speak to him, they're guides for the city. He'll be able to tell you where to go based on your price range and things like that.
We'll do that then. Grab myself.
He nods and he's like, yes. Well, enjoy your time in the city. Yeah, the 100% the guy with brochures. Do you want your picture taken?
Oh, yeah, let's go. Jordan, my dear, we need to, like, take some baths and,
Absolutely. I would love to get some suds, both in and talk about beer.
Yes. Maybe we can do both at the same time. Tub beer.
Excellent. Just bring in two cups, one for each hand.
Double fisting, yeah. Yeah, I'm into that. I'm into double fisting. Wait.
So yeah, we got two fists.
I mean, you got two hands. Might as well use both of them drinking.
That's right.
One after another.
2 hands, 2 holes. It all works out.
Hey.
2 holes.
How many holes you got?
I don't think you know how to count.
No.
You just gotta get creative.
6. The elusive 6 hole.
That elusive. It's like the Szechuan sauce. You gotta find it. You understand? You don't understand, Morty? The chicks on this planet, they have 6 holes, Morty. I don't know why. I don't know why when you said elusive 6 hole, I immediately thought Rick and Morty.
It seems like something that Justin Roiland would write.
Sounds right. The elusive 6 hole.
I'm trying to throw a map of Elturel up for you guys, but it doesn't want to load.
We're just stuck on this boat forever.
Just looking at this beautiful painting of a water.
I'm on a boat.
And
it's going
hard as it gets.
And so I'll describe it while I'm waiting to see if this is ever gonna freaking work. You guys are still on the river map? No, I moved you to the world map, right?
No.
Oh, crap.
Nope.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
I will describe Elturel to you while I'm working. So the river butts right up against the mountain. There is a water district where they have cut canals into the side of the city on the lower part, and that's all on the eastern side, which is pretty much flooded. So smaller boats, that this one wouldn't be able to do it, but smaller craft can actually go up into the city to transport trade goods. There's a main thoroughfare, a street that sort of cuts down through the center of the city. That used to be a big, large street, but has since been turned into like a mall. So there's kiosks all along it. It slowly tears up the mountain and then is surrounded by a big giant ass ring wall. And then it's big. It's at least as big as Baldur's Gate. It is a fine city. Let me see. Save as. I like this map better. There's the tower in the toward the back of the city that has the great glowing light above it, and then as you guys pass into the city, just like the dock warden told you, there's a man dressed in brightly colored clothing, like almost obnoxiously bright, and a big floppy hat. Almost looks like a jester, but he's standing there with a flag, like a pole with a flag on the end of it. That has the sign of the city on it, the heraldry of the city, and he's talking to travelers as they come in. He's asking people if they need help. He's like a crier, so he's shouting out and giving directions and offering 100% tourist brochures. It's an interesting thing.
Wow.
I don't
I
know
want a
what map
brochure.
is on fire, but it's the only one I could get to work.
Waterdeep really just needs to follow suit and get their own fancy.
I think this is when hell invaded, but so all of this part that is fire, that's the river, that's the channels, and then
So this is
there's this main thoroughfare that goes to the center, and then toward the south here. So you guys are coming from up north here. Toward the south here, where it says High Hall, that is the great tower with the sun above it.
What about this chasm in the middle?
That's supposed to be the river. It's supposed to be a channel that goes to
Okay.
the center of it. But for some reason, the map that is correct fucking won't upload to Roll20.
We'll just
Uh,
pretend all of this purple is water.
maybe like what the tourist map looks like. They make it all fancy and
Yeah,
shit.
they're like, look at it.
Yeah,
And
they're
this
like,
is
hey,
what it was.
They're like the old discounted maps at a discount. I said discount thrice. You know, they're
Yes.
old. It's on
left over
fire.
from like hundreds of years ago.
Yeah, the fire
No
times.
one bought them then, and no one still wants to buy them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Here, I found this.
Ultra hell!
I found this cool picture of it. If that'll help you guys picture, like, sort of envision it.
Oh, that's pretty.
I think it's popular to run games in Elturel during the period when there was hell invading, because all of the maps are on fire.
Oh my god.
But that was a long time ago.
We get there and Ira's like, huh, this seems familiar somehow.
Oh man.
Ira, don't think
Hard
about it
place,
too
right?
hard.
No,
It went
Let me
away.
try it. Let me try that. Yeah, it just will not. Oh, it's thinking about it. I got a loading bar.
you can do it.
There we go.
Yay!
Hey.
Oh my god, Ira gets deja vu. Curtis, you killed me.
Okay.
Ah.
There you go. So there's this like sort of park thoroughfare area in the center here. There's the river that runs past it with all the boats. You guys are being docked in this area, and then there's a channel that runs up into the rest of the city, so that they can that boats can move further into the city. And then the center of it, like this area, is higher than the rest, so it's built up on what used to be a mountain. The city itself is carved out of a mountain. And there's this constant streaming light over this great tower in the center of the city. it's an interesting place. But the herald sees a group of like adventurers come in and looks over, and I think he locks eyes on Layla. Like he looks at Layla and he says something like, "Oh yes, come in, please. Greetings. Have you come to take the holy writ, traveler? Come to visit the place of the gods."
Yes, I'm very godly.
He nods
I'm
and he's like,
cleric of Soon.
"I could tell by your dress and demeanor. Please, what god do you worship?
Soon.
I will direct you to the closest soon.
Soon.
Goddess of beauty and love?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I am sorry, pilgrim. We do not have a temple dedicated to her."
Oh. Well, what temples do you have nearby?
We'll get
Um,
suited later.
and he starts like listing,
It's too
Tor,
soon.
and this sun god, and this god of light, and this god of fire, and like, he just makes a big list of Forgotten Realms gods that are like, these are the goodly gods that you worship when you want to smite evil, and go on and like very vanilla.
But Soon is also a goodly god.
He nods
Doesn't-
and he goes, yes,
Not so
yes.
much in the smiting department.
Free love and all of that, but unfortunately we just don't have a temple established to her, so I don't have directions to a place we don't have. But if there's anything else I could help you find folks with.
Okay, well, how about that tier guy? I've always kind of been interested in him. I know.
Yes, Buster. They're only into jabroni gods.
Oh, they
Yes,
only want
the female
strong
gods.
gods. Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there's like there's I'm sure there's female gods. I just don't want to look up a there's like
Did you
50
just say
some
Chad gods? Oh god.
there's like 50 some odd fucking gods in the Forgotten Realms, and I don't have them all memorized, just the really cool ones.
Machismo.
But so I'm sure there's gods that there's probably a temple to the Raven Queen, even though she's the goddess of death. She hates undead, so like she kind of gets along with Palor. Um, yeah,
The
exactly.
lady gods don't have enough armor.
Yeah.
That's right.
What do you mean they don't carry a great sword? What fucking kind of god is that? No, it's not that. It's just like it's not. It's not male versus female so much. It is like, does your god want you to smite things? If they don't, they're not here.
They're like smities.
I've always wanted to try the smiting. I've never, smote an enemy before. I've smashed them with a giant lipstick, and that's pretty demeaning.
He's
They
like,
got
yeah,
why did they just have
sometimes
killing
it's good
gods?
to put the devils in their place, then, isn't it? If you're interested in the Temple to Tyr, you go down, Garden Street here. Take a right when you get to Temple Way. It'll be the third building on the right. It's hard to miss because there's a giant hammer out front.
Makes sense.
And
Okay,
like
hammer.
coming into this city after being in Baldur's Gate, there was that relief of leaving Baldur's Gate and going into the wilds and like just getting away from the smell. This place is so fucking clean you think you could eat off the streets. It's like weird clean. Like it's cleaner than Waterdeep. Like, and they put a lot of effort into keeping their city clean.
It's like
Yeah,
sterile.
you're just like make a perception check for me, Buster.
God, I don't like them very much.
Even
As
with
long
a
as you
10,
don't
looking
unveil like your
around
hat.
pretty quickly, there's actually a not small population of tieflings. Like there's a considerable number of tieflings here, and some of them are wearing armor and heraldry of the city. Like it's just not like a tiefling doesn't seem like somebody that would stick out here. Dragonborn. Or no, I think there would be Dragonborn because there's a lot of people who worship Baphomet, the Platinum Dragon. So there's a lot of Dragonborn. There's a lot of Tieflings.
What about Azamar? Are there Azamar?
Yeah, 100%. They're like
Aw.
it. I mean, it would be hard for the other members of the party to pick them out, but those people whose features are like a particular way, because Azamar just like human, but they have that like angelic glow, like that beauty about them that Layla can kind of smell. So there's a mixed bag of races. Azamar, tieflings, dragonborn, dwarves. Not a lot of halflings or gnomes, and fucking no. There's a few half orcs dotted about, milling about the city, but there are like no Kelrics. There are no furbolgs, but tieflings don't seem unusual.
Just treat
That's-
everybody nice.
we can't stick out too much.
Yeah, I mean, so typically, the way you get tieflings is like a demon and a person have a baby, and you end up with tieflings. So invasion from hell, fuck ton of tieflings, kind of makes sense in an awkward way.
Yeah. So
Jordan, are
you know
you
what?
from
This
here?
place we're
But
Hmm.
the tieflings seem to be a completely normal part of day-to-day life here. But he gives you directions to this temple to Torm. Tyr, yeah, he's the hammer god. He gives you, are you the god of hammers?
Oh, hammers.
We've all seen that movie, right?
I'm sure my
Sure.
father might have been from here,
Okay.
but not me.
Oh,
I'll
your
put-
father's maybe from here. You think he's
Yeah.
still alive?
As far as I know, pretty sure
Oh, you wanna try to?
we've lost contact.
Oh, okay. I see. I thought we
I
were gonna
tried
have.
to. No, I try to avoid my father as much as I can.
Avoid him.
He's very, very bad.
I'm sorry to hear that. Is he?
Oh no, don't be. He's
Which half?
he's the demon part.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
You from Dad?
Mine. um. My. But yeah, Dad always called me a burden, but my mom always called me so.
Jordan, you are just a delight. I don't know how anybody could ever call you a burden.
Which is why I
Give you a hug.
left home. So yeah, after my
Oh.
after my mom died, I just figured I needed to
Ira comes
go.
over, joins the hug, and she leans in and she's like, I don't know what we're hugging about. I just felt right.
Chris also joins the hug.
Oh,
Hug you too.
Everybody piles in and begins to hug Jordan.
And just like the
Okay.
herald is in the background, like,
Yeah, and the herald is standing there in his like stupid outfit. He's like,
Hmm.
did you want to know anything else about the city?
We're having a moment.
Yeah, just
I'm
give us a
sorry, I didn't mean
moment.
to interrupt.
I forgot he was still there.
It's like, yeah, it's like, it feels good. Yeah, I don't get these very often.
Bathhouse.
Yeah, excuse me, lad. Where's your finest spa?
Bathhouses, absolutely.
Chris.
We have dozens. Several of the members of the Hellriders require ritual cleansing. You see, would you prefer? Well, not to put too fine of a point on it, but what would your budget for a bathhouse be?
anything.
Yes.
Anything.
Where's
Well,
your finest bathhouse?
This is not an issue.
Elturel hosts a number of bathhouses. I would suggest the closest one that would be a more high-end place would be the Darrington bathhouse, which is just up the way there. It's heated by a natural spring, so the water is quite warm and mineral rich. I understand that it has a good effect on the skin.
Ooh.
That sounds excellent.
So if you go up the street 2 blocks and take a left, that will be the Darrington Bathhouse. It's quite large. There's a sign out front, and then when you come out, if you go across the thoroughfare here and directly down that way, you'll run into the Temple of Torm. Tyr is the god with the hammer. Torm and Tyr, fucking dwarven gods, and their names all sound the same. They're all called Tom now. Tyr, sorry. And he says, if you require lodgings, if you go past the Darrington bathhouse, if money is no issue, I recommend the Pillow Trove. It is quite a nice location with very large private rooms, and they typically have vacancies of several rooms. It's a quite sprawling location, so you should be able to get individual rooms if that's something you're interested in.
Oh, 2 for 1.
The
Or I
pillow.
guess
If you wish to share, I believe they have double beds as well. And
they
I
have
understand that they're
king size beds?
I understand that the venison they serve there is quite nice.
Schmeat.
Supposed to pay him.
I was sold at I imagine.
Oh, he says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I am paid by the city itself. So I do not require any payment, but tips are always welcome."
Hmm.
I tip him a platinum. It's one of the ones.
Whoa.
You just give him a platinum. He looks at it like, "Oh fuck!"
Where
and
are the
he's
actual
like,
good places?
like he goes wide-eyed, and he's like,
Holy fuck.
Well, if you require any other services, and he like slips the platinum into his thing, I am always by the front gate. If you require a guide through the city and any more information, my name is Tomlinson.
Please ask for me.
Any of the heralds in the city can tell you where I am. Don't talk to them. Come talk to me.
Show us the good stuff.
And he's like, well, would you require any other information about the great city of El Terrell then?
Think not at this time. We have
Well, please enjoy your time. I believe I've pointed you to the finest establishments, so if you
Yeah,
have any
bring it-
questions,
bring-
let me know.
bring it in, Tom. We just hug it out.
His last name,
Tom.
let me think. Probably something like Bjornsson?
Ah, that's interesting.
Tomlinson? It's a family name.
Oh my god.
It's a Tom. Curtis.
Oh, you know what? Fuck it. His name is Thomas Tomlinson. His name
Yay!
is called Tom, which is that GPS thing that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh my god,
With those
that's right.
shoes.
I
Maybe
forgot
you
about
did.
Tom.
Whatever. I'll make it up, man. His name is Thomas Tomlinson.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you, Thomas Tomlinson.
Doing the Lord's work. So, whichever Lord.
Okay. So he gives you guys directions, and you are welcome to explore the city as you see fit, unless you want to talk to him about anything else.
Let's go get some mani-pedis, Curtis.
Gonna get my petty on.
That's right.
So where do you guys want to go first?
Going to the bathhouse first?
Sure.
I mean, I was thinking.
To the Darrington bathhouse?
Yeah. We'll get all cleaned up.
Bars.
We'll feel
Okay.
nice and refreshed.
So you head to you head down, you just follow his directions. You go down 2 blocks, take a left, and come around a corner. A couple buildings down the street. Everything is fucking white marble. The whole city is just carved out of white marble. And because there's this magical false sun glowing above it that constantly reflects everything, it's bright. And it's like 8 o'clock at night at this point, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and your bodies are doing that thing where it's like it should be dark and the sun's still out, and I don't really know how to handle it. So there's that like odd tickle in your brain where it's sort of uncomfortable.
Like when
And
you go to another country.
Yeah, it's
Like,
like jet lag, but
like
it's quicker than that.
hospitalization.
So as you go up to this giant stone, think like Roman architecture, big pillars, giant arches, sort of fantastical white marble everywhere. As you breeze up to this building, and it says Darrington Bathhouse in 3 or 4 languages on a sign out front, painted in great golden letters that shine in the brilliant fall sun. As you breeze up to this place, there's like a mechanical man standing at the front door. He's
Him?
like 6'5". It's huge, brass colored, and you can see like there's no skin on it. So you can see like the brass gears turning that operate the thing. It's wearing a suit, like a very fine suit, but you can see the little gears in its jaw that turn as it opens. And like the like aperture function of its eyes as it, in quotation marks, blinks. It's this strange mechanical creation. Um, it's completely brass colored, and you can hear like the whirring and buzzing of it. And as you come closer, it speaks to you guys. Like as you come up to it, it says, "Hello, welcome to the Darrington Bathhouse. My name is Dodie. I am here to serve. How may I assist you?" Nimble Ray. It's sort of like a Nimble Ray, but like way bigger.
Looks like Mima's up to her game.
Oh shit.
It for Buster, it doesn't look. What was it? Reginald? Was that Mima's mechanical servant?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's not too different from Reginald. It honestly seems a little more rudimentary. Reginald was a little more capable. It could actually run the shop. It could, process purchases and keep track of inventory, and was a fairly capable fighter. This thing seems a little more basic than Mima's creation.
So it's like a Disneyland animatronic that just kind of goes through the motions, but is bolted to the floor.
That's what it looks like.
Okay.
So he's just like, Philly did a better one, but this one's okay.
I'm sorry, I don't understand that request.
Oh, sorry.
My name is Dodie. I am here to serve. How may I help you?
We want.
Cody, what is your finest service?
The highest end. You would like full service then.
Full service. Did you get the special ending?
I'm sorry, we don't do that here.
He must be programmed
There
to answer
are
that question.
houses of that sort of thing. Please ask your local herald for directions.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay, well.
Well, I guess, hey, even the robots are telling us to talk to Tom Tom.
Yeah, he's programmed them fast.
And then it like loops back. It's like, hello, my name is Dodie. I am here to serve. How may I help you?
We gotta just get away from it. It'll loop forever.
How much is the finest package? What does it include?
For the specialty package, it is 20 gold pieces per person. It would include a massage, a bath, sauna treatment, a full cleansing by a certified cleric. Like it goes on for a little while. Haircut,
There's a lot of stuff.
manicure and pedicure.
Ooh. Some sort of seaweed treatment.
Yeah,
For
some
your
sort of
skin.
seaweed. Not the one where like you eat it and then you poop it out and they pull it out of you. Not that
What?
one.
What?
It's got a wrap.
Excuse me?
Oh no, there's like a seaweed treatment where they feed you like this 20-foot long piece of kelp, right? You eat it, and it's still in your throat, and it processes through your body, and you poop it out, and then they pull it out of your butthole.
That must be good money. I mean, for the people pulling, not for the people paying.
And then like so it gives this list of like everything you'd expect to get at a high-end bathhouse. All of it. It's 25 gold, and it also specialty drinks.
Jordan?
Is this the package you'd like to select?
Yes. 1,000
Um,
times yes.
I'm down.
Just kidding. I mean 6 times 1.
Yeah, and it's like,
4.
how many in your party?
That's
Oh,
it's
right
like I can't afford that many times. Mostly
6
because of the
times? So 6 people. Is this correct?
Wait,
7.
no. There's Ira. We forgot.
Did Ira
That's
even bother getting off the boat? Because
Yeah,
there's
she's
a
with
lot
you
of
guys.
holy folks.
Yeah, no, she's with you guys. She just looks like a girl. She just looks like a
Oh,
sexy
okay,
lady.
okay. 7.
Where is 7?
7 people. Is this correct?
Yes.
Your total will be whatever 7 times 25 is. Would you like to
100
pay
wait.
now?
I thought it was, that would be 175. Yeah, I'll pay 175 gold, which is 7 platinum.
Okay, and
Or
it's
7
like, thank
platinum.
you for your payment.
Do we feed it the
First
gold?
coins.
Where's the
It holds out its hands for the money, and you put the coins in its hands, and it like weighs them. Like you can see it like wait for a minute, and then it opens its mouth, and its like jaw distends like a little too far,
Ugh.
like a snake, and it dumps the coins down its gullet. And then it's like, please proceed inside.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, that was kind of horrifying.
Yeah, a little bit.
I wonder if it eats some other things.
He's rummaging through.
Oh wait, I'll give him an egg.
I think you'll
It
take
just
that.
like tink hits it in the face. It doesn't react. It is just like bowing and waiting for you to go past it.
Come on to my
You're like, clink, clink,
favorite.
clink, and then it's just like, please proceed. And as it opens its mouth, Buster shoves the eggs in its mouth. So it's like garbled after that because there's egg running down its face. And it's like, inside.
Oh no, he's gonna break it.
Make us pay for this.
No, I won't. It'll be fine.
Nothing to see here, Buster. Come on, come on.
Right, yeah.
He's
I'm gonna
just
continue.
Just shuffles in.
I'm gonna stay from his egg.
Hey, they got a little
Um,
prestidigitation. They want to get that. Alright, let's just act like nothing happened.
It'll be fine.
Do
See,
Oh man. Are there people in like little short shorts?
what
Cabana
I'm
boy
trying to think.
style?
What's the word for? No, not masseuse. What's the word for some like a word that means the same
host.
thing as something else?
This thing is something else.
Yeah. Like there's 2 words that have the same meaning.
Synonym.
Synonym. Thank you. Good lord. Okay.
Synonym.
Okay.
Are you trying to dumb it down for us?
No. So you guys go into the place, and it's a big open, like Roman bathhouse, more marble columns, excessive, and there's another like identical robot, standing behind a big marble counter, wearing the same suit, and it's like, "Hello, my name is Cherish. Please proceed this way for the beginning of your treatment."
Just gonna stand on a moving conveyor belt and go full car wash.
That's what I was gonna say.
Kind
Like
of.
at the airport.
So, like, the whole thing is run by these mechanical people. You don't ever actually talk to, and they all have names like idolize, admire, cherish, treasure, worship. It's like they all have these subservient names. And the whole thing, like your masseuse is a robot person. Your bathhouse attendant is a robot person. And this goes on is like you guys get your hair done and you get your nails done and you get like put into a sauna and like the whole thing is run by these identical robots that have different names. You know, somebody gets a masseuse named Adore, or Adora.
Wait, is the cleric like a real person? Because we're supposed to get cleansed by a cleric.
It's like a robot with a holy symbol for whatever that god is that loves mechanical things.
No, no, it's not. Wait, Nim. Wait, no, that was the
No, Nimble
9
Wright.
Inch Nails?
Tony Stark. No, you guys went to the temple. That's where the Nimble Wright was being kept.
Right, right.
Gong.
It's a robot person with the holy symbol like gear on their neck, the holy symbol of Gond, who does like the soul cleansing upon you. And
Does it work on Ira?
It doesn't seem to. She seems a little uncomfortable, but she doesn't like light on fire.
Okay.
Doesn't really seem to have much of an actual effect. And the whole experience is, while pleasant, a little inhuman and strange having these. Because there's like a specially designed masseuse robot who has like padded hands that does the massaging. And like a specially designed like nail robot with like files for fingers and nail clippers who does like your nails and everything. So it is very much like going through a human car wash. It's very weird. But you still leave the place feeling refreshed and massaged and smelling good and like everything's done perfectly in a way only machines can, which is a little odd, but it still works.
Through as a dog.
I turned into a dog whenever we got here. I was very uncomfortable.
They like groom him, like they do the little.
Yeah, they just
like,
groom the dog.
Yeah.
Aww.
I have one of those head ponytails.
Yeah. So Kelric is just a very clean, well-brushed dog boy.
Painted nails.
Like a doggo massage. So it is a little disconcerting, but it's still a pleasant experience. And you guys sort of step back out onto the street, and you've been inside this building where there's no natural light, so it's lit by lanterns and candles and like gas lamps and things of that nature. And like it's been a couple hours, and as you step back out onto the street, it's still daylight outside. And I think that realization that it's still daylight and the weirdness of the whole experience is a good place to stop for the night.
Yay!
Time stands still. Oh my gosh, the city knows.
All right, so you tell me, Curtis / Rachel, because you said this at the beginning of the game. Was that a good session?
Oh, me?
No, Curtis.
Me?
Yes, Denny.
Oh, of course it was. It always is.
Because you're like, oh man, I hope it's a good one.
Yeah, of course.
I love it when I plan these like elaborate fights, and then you guys are like, nah. Here's a wall of thorns.
They
You
crash.
Fuck
gave
these
Kelric
people.
a very good item.
Holy shit, I know.
I'm sorry, no, it's like I was just like, this is really cool because you said that the Mississippi River was anywhere between 50 and 70 feet. I was like,
I wasn't being sarcastic. I genuinely find it entertaining where I'm like, they're going to have a ship combat. I got this whole thing planned out in my head. And then you guys are like, here's a clever way to bypass that. And I'm like, oh, that's smart. So it doesn't upset me at all. I genuinely think it's funny. Or when I come up with like this like complicated side quests where you have to rescue this chick and you guys are like, and Curtis is just like, I'm going to cast Charm Person and he's going to tell us what the fuck we want to know. We might go
I'll go
save
through
that
it.
chick anyway, but just for like our own conscience. Yeah.
I guess that
Charm
I guess
is
I guess that
dominating.
makes us a chaotic good party.
Mostly
yeah.
chaotic.
Hee
You lean hard on that chaotic.
Hard on the chaos.
Chaos reigns.
It's fine. You know, nobody's lives are destroyed. I mean, not really.
Well,
None of your lives are destroyed. There's some
three people's
bandits
lives
that
are
got
destroyed,
thrown
but
in
you
a
know,
river.
it's fine.
They got thrown into the fucking caloric food processor.
Calric's trying not to think too hard about how easy it was to murder two people.
Yeah, and you guys are what, 6th or 7th level? When did you guys
7.
level up?
Like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta write it down.
I don't remember what battle that was.
Right after the witch lady?
Yeah, 3 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
The witch? Yeah. The
In all
sea.
honesty, the
Sea
Olive of Thorns,
witch.
I was expecting a bigger boat to go up against it, so I was like, this will slow him down.
It's true. It slowed him down to
Slow-
0.
Slow them down.
Just imagining these guys are like, row, back.
Aw, I almost feel sorry for him.
Almost.
They're just going in to do some good old-fashioned pillaging.
They were coming to attack us, so it's fine.
I don't know. They could
Pillaging.
just be trapped.
Self-defense.
Aggressive rowers. They're a part of an aggressive rowing team.
Yeah.
So, coolest moments.
Wall of Thorns.
Yeah.
Oh no, Chris is arm wrestling too.
Arm wrestling.
Yes.
I'm going arm wrestling.
Yeah,
Wrestling.
just the whole camping session was awesome. Like from
Fun.
like a carnival fair that Layla and Kellrick had to the
So, like
dancing.
the
Yeah, that was fun.
meet up.
I had dinner of sorts.
Wall of Thorn.
Feelings.
Any other cool moments you guys want to call out?
Buster catching the fish,
Yeah.
the dogfish.
That was
Buster and the
good.
Bunyip.
Oh yeah, getting the
That-
bunyip.
Bunyip was
Yep.
fun.
Bunyip is fun to say.
It is
I like saying Bunyip too.
bunyip. Yip yip.
Bunyip.
I thought about doing a Stellar's ape, but I felt like that was too cute. So I made a
Just
Bunyip.
still is
There was in the late 1600s, early 1700s, there was a naturalist who wrote a description about aquatic apes, where he described these creatures that were very similar to chimpanzees, or at least he thought they were very similar to chimpanzees, but they lived in the water. And if you read the description, it sounds like he's probably talking about otters, but he described them as apes, because that was, I think, the closest analogy he could make. So I thought about, it's like a mythical creature now. So I thought about doing like a water monkey, but I was like, they may think that's too cute. So I
Aw.
did a Bunyip. I try to not make you guys
Yay.
kill cute things.
Thank you. I don't want to kill a cute
Yeah.
thing.
I think the cutest thing is not cute as a goblin.
Yeah,
Goblin.
we ended up
Seems
taking
like
it.
pretty cute.
Okay.
If you had made
Yeah,
it,
but he made biscuits. He's
But that.
Yeah, see, that's too cute.
It's fucking flurry. Never gonna forget that
Yeah.
goblin, guys. Okay, so that is coolest moments. What about MVP?
Kelrick probably.
Because saved us a lot of trouble, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that
And
Yeah,
also
save
he held hands with Layla.
lives.
Ah,
The Wall of Thorns food
he
processor.
did. He held hands with Layla.
Yeah.
You're free.
He was very quiet, happy.
Oh,
Well, Kelrick got MVP last game for finally trying to put the moves on Layla, and I don't think they used their inspiration this game.
Yep, this
So-
is accurate.
Let me get a second MVP here. Somebody I can give inspiration to.
Bust.
Yeah. Buster for pulling up that big old piece of meat.
Big old
Buster.
Aw.
Buster for
Funny.
Oh
fishing.
wait, actually, we should. I'm sorry, Buster. I take it back. I also want to give it. I think Curtis also deserves a good jump at it for the comprehend languages bit.
Oh, yeah, you got her
I
leave.
do.
Oh
So
yeah,
we go
I hope she had a fun night. I already have inspo though.
Alright, well, I already wrote Buster down, so we're gonna go with Buster.
Well, then I will put that.
I
towards
will
coolest
add
moments.
Curtis's comprehend languages to coolest moments.
Yes.
So I hope Ira had a good night.
Oh, she had a great night.
With some cute bumpkin girls.
Oh.
They're well traveled.
Pumpkin.
Cool.
Zing.
All right, fun night. I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Awesome. Same here. I'm glad we got to kick some bandit ass. Although
I
Kelly short work of them.
I kind of figured that like after fighting the witch and the well lady that like maybe a couple easy fights so that you guys could actually get a feel for how your characters work at this level would be a good idea. So don't expect every fight for the rest of the campaign to go that easily.
Oh. I mean, in both of those fights, half of the things that we were fighting just turned and ran away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the goblins, you legitimately, there's 20 of them. I think you killed 15. But goblins are like easy prey for you guys at your
Yeah,
level.
we killed most of them in like the first turn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you know, we're about to adventure into a desert, and strange things happen in deserts.
Better be ready.
There's big worms out there. I'm scared.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, you have no idea.
Sandworms.
I have so many
Oh,
monsters
God.
stored in my brain that aren't
Oh
even.
no. What horrors
Anything
lie
but
in there?
I don't think
monsters.
there's not stats for a bunyip in 5th edition that I'm aware of. That's an old like fucking legend that I have in the back of my head, like the Stellar's ape. So I have weird creatures that I will stat out myself that come from various myths. So be ready for that.
Glorious.
Weird.
Yay.
Like the dragon that drank an entire.
That's an old Norse myth, yeah. A dragon that drank an entire river. It's the Fafnir saga.
Well, most excellent. Well done, all.
Hooray.
Yeah, that's the dragon that Sigurd the Volsung kills. Takes all of his gold.
Neat.
The Vinerm. Some impronounceable fucking Viking word. Geiflinger. Something I can't say it.
All right. Love you, stream. Bye.
All right, see you guys. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.